It says we're live. What do you think? You think it's true? I'm making a coffee, guys. Please hold tight until I get everything set up. Um, this is Frederick Francis Lunas Aristeas of the OTA, transmitting to you live from the center of the Central Kingdom, Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking. I'm trying to see if we've got the old, daydreaming. That's a good one. Let's see if that'll work. Well, can you guys hear that music? All right, give me just a second, guys, while I set up my coffee. And make sure you check me out on www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Put a little something in the tip jar. Y'all good looking, sexy people out in Happy Land. I hope you are doing well tonight. Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you may be receiving this. Welcome to the show. All right. Welcome back, guys. I got my pour over going. Man, that doesn't look strong enough. What's up with that? Did I not grind the beans fine enough? It's kind of coming through the filter a little weak. That's not any kind of fun. That's all right. Whatever. Let's kill that music, that daydreaming. It's kind of nice though, huh? Hope you guys enjoyed that. All right, guys. It is everyone out in Happy Land, guys and gals. It is August 4th, 2024. Also, it's the first day of the 7th lunar month in the lunar solar calendar, the Chinese lunar solar calendar, which is coming in at 5,748. It's the year 5,748 by the Chinese calendar of the Yellow Emperor. So there you have it. The 100-day challenge is over. You can hear the cicadas outside. Can you hear that? I want to do a sound check. So if you are out in Happy Land, give me ones if you can hear me clearly. If you can hear me out in Happy Land, give me the ones. Let me check this. Let me do a mic check. I'll just have to do it on YouTube myself. All right. Yeah, I got YouTube on my phone. So that seems to be working. Let me see. I was talking a lot of shit at the jump about YouTube changing everything recently. Yeah, it looks like my sound quality and video quality dropped really bad there towards the end of the video. Let me double check this one. Not sure if this one's doing any better. I can hear it okay, but I don't even trust like these Bluetooth headphones anymore. Hello? Mic check. Can you hear me all right? It says one person's watching, but that is in fact me. So let me click off of that, and then it will probably drop to 0 people watching. Good enough. Anyway, we're going to have to do it podcast style because the internet didn't seem to be responding very well to, hey, King Steven's in the house. Welcome, King Steven. Sanity Machine, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'll drop a link. Is the volume okay? Can you hear me all right? Is the sound quality? How's sound quality doing here in Happy Land? Because if you can't hear me, then what's the point, right? Then we can't banter back and forth. I'll just be relinquishing my throne to the great King Stephen. Sound is good. Okay, excellent. Let's get that link then. Let's get that link copied. and post it in the comment section. There you have it, man. There it is. There, StreamYard KH4X BDB 8KD. Good stuff, man. So tune in and turn on to some Frank Monday podcasting. I am double checking here on YouTube. Nope, can't do that. Okay. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Yeah, those cicadas are really going fucking ape shit outside the window here. Oh no. My pour over is pouring over. You got to keep an eye on that shit, man, when you're making a pour over coffee. That your pour over doesn't pour over the top. Yeah. So things I've been thinking about are the dog days of summer, man. It's been hot as a motherfucker here in China, in Beijing. We tried to beat the heat by going on a little vacation. We spent like a week by the lake. It's a pretty famous lake here in northern China, where the Yellow Emperor used to go. Like as long as there was an emperor over China, that's where he would hang out. They built some palaces there, and it's supposedly 10 degrees cooler than here in the city. So we went there and we spent a week, but it didn't really feel much cooler at all. It was still pretty fucking hot. The one cool thing about it though is there weren't any mosquitoes whatsoever. All right, guys, looks like we've got King Stephen backstage. It doesn't look like you're sporting a foreskin, Stephen. Can you hear me okay, man? Are you there? Welcome to the show. Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, your your picture there looks suspiciously like one I took a while back. I can't hear you, Stephen. Can you hear me? Oh, that black and white photo.
Hello.
Yeah, I think
Hello.
you're taking. Hello, can you hear me? You took some artistic liberties with that profile pic, huh?
No, this is probably it's years old. It's quite a few years old.
OG, huh?
It's not new. This is from a
Okay,
while
cool.
ago. Yeah. I was wearing a shirt that it's an optical illusion that says good, but it has evil written inside of it, inside the word good. So it's like an optical illusion shirt where it tests people whether they can see the good, the evil, or both, because they're both there.
Okay. The it seems like the album cover, like the Dio, didn't they have like devil in there or evil or something in Dio? The album cover, I can't remember exactly.
Dio, with that little Ronnie Dio guy. Is that
Yeah.
who it was?
What was it? Holy diver, you've been out too long in the midnight sea. Was that the
Well,
one? Yeah,
let's see. Yeah,
I think it
good
was
and
devil.
evil
Was devil or
illusion
evil in
shirt.
there? Something like
Well,
that.
I'll show you this shirt that I had on. How can I? Well, I'll share a link.
Yeah, you could share your screen too.
I can share my screen. How do I share my screen with you?
I don't know if the internet will support it. Let me see here. I got to hit the present button. I got share screen. How do I allow you to share your screen? Let me see. Doesn't say. I don't know. I don't know if StreamYard has that option or not. Doesn't show it. It says I can edit your mic settings, edit
All right, can
name
you
and
see the
headline.
screen?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to share the screen.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
this
I got it.
working?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
Looks like it's
awesome,
working.
awesome. So there we go. That's the
Okay,
shirt.
yeah,
You can,
I can see it.
yeah. Some people could only see evil. There was a few Christians that could only see evil, and I said, "Don't you see the good?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're wearing a shirt that says evil." They literally could not see the good.
Okay. Yeah, no, I saw both simultaneously. It's very clever.
Yeah. So that's the shirt I had on in that profile picture. It was one of my
Nice.
favorite shirts until I wore it out. I had to
Yeah.
retire it. I think I gave it to a peasant or something. It was
Okay.
basically worn it until it was rags, so I just gave it to some peasant. But yeah, it's a cool shirt.
Yeah, maybe you could reorder it. It said $8 on there. Is that when you bought it originally? I can't imagine you could buy a T-shirt for $8 these days.
Yeah, I don't know. I just looked it up on Google. I have no idea what the price was when I bought it, but it was a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So how you been, man?
Yeah.
What's been going on? What's been going on out in Happy Land? Anything
I've been
fun?
good. I've been having lots of fun, lots and lots of fun. I had a good live stream last night with a great guest talking about some ideas for the afterlife and stuff like that. And what's been going on in, is it Beijing, China?
Yeah, it's been hot. Can you hear the cicadas outside?
Yeah, I didn't know they had those in China.
Yeah, I guess they're global. I don't know, man. They're all yeah. The cicada is a big part of the Chinese culture. They've got artifacts dating back to like the first Yellow Emperor, the jade carvings and stone carvings and bronze. They think that the cicada is it's like a talisman of good fortune somehow. I don't exactly
What?
understand it.
Really?
Yeah, I've never researched it, but yeah, you can look up like jade cicada and you can see.
Jade cicada.
Yeah,
I
they
gotta look.
they
Yeah,
really
I gotta check that.
they really dig them. I don't know if they eat them or if they just think they're a talisman, but yeah, so they're going bananas out there. It's been super hot. Jade cicada. I don't think I have a cicada. I might. I don't know. People like it's one fun thing about over here is they like to give each other stuff crafted from jade. And so I noticed right away that like the cicada, the peach, the pine, lots of different things. What's another one? Like how the Egyptians have the beetle in their
Yeah,
culture.
yeah.
Yeah, the Chinese like the cicada.
Is it the scarab beetle or something like that? It's not the dung beetle, but the Chinese, they don't think they evolved from cicadas, though, do they? There was a guy on my show the other night or the other week. He believes that he evolved from bananas and red herring fish, and he got a ginger beard. And I said, "You must have some red herring in your genetics." Then he agreed. I mean,
Yeah, there's a strong possibility that I don't know the red-headed woodpecker maybe that's in his genealogical timeline, his
I could be. I'm
evolutionary
sharing
tree.
sharing the jade cicada screen. I'm sharing it.
Oh, are
It's
you okay? I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
wandered off.
check that out. It's
Uh, yeah, that's it right there. That's the thing.
look at
That's
that.
what they like.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they carve
That's
them really
crazy.
nice. Like I've seen some really cool looking ones.
I had no idea that anyone idolized these cicadas this way to make them into something like that.
Yeah, I've
But
heard too that they're of the opinion that the sound, the frequency the cicada's creating has a positive effect on your psyche. So if you sit out in the woods and you sit in meditation doing some naval contemplation as the cicadas are riotous around you, that you'll get some positive effect. I don't know that I've ever experienced any positive effect from them. It seems like I spent some time in the countryside in the U.S. and in the Tennessee Valley, and there were tons of cicadas there every year. And it seems like eventually, like they kind of just blend into the background, like you forget about them and you don't even hear them anymore.
well, maybe the cicadas there make the Chinese want to breed like crazy. Maybe that's why the population booms
Oh,
to that degree.
maybe that's it.
Might
Maybe
be an
it's
aphrodisiac for the
yeah,
Chinese or something.
it might be sexually stimulating.
Could
I
be.
don't know if you pay attention to there's two YouTube channels that do a lot of audiobooks. One's called The Master Key Society, and another one is called see if I can think of the name, Timeless Knowledge. But they both read audiobooks, and they're not AI audiobooks. Like I know YouTube's been pushing the AI really hot and heavy recently, but the AI voices, reading stuff. But these are actual human beings that read stuff. So, oh no, you're gonna get me shut
That
down if you do that.
no, that won't be shut. It's just a
Are you sure?
Japanese. It's a festival. It's
Is
not
it?
actual
Oh, okay.
penises, but it's a
Okay.
Japanese. Yeah, this is they have a
Jesus,
festival
you,
for.
you scared
They,
me there for a second.
no,
I
no,
was, oh,
don't be
oh,
scared.
oh, oh.
This is an actual festival in Japan um, fertility. It's a fertility penis festival that they
Oh,
have
nice.
every year.
They've got popsicles.
Yeah, they suck on these popsicles and candies. They have like penis pops,
Nice.
and they're very the Japanese love to kiss the heads of these penises and lick them, and like it's just incredible what they do. But this is true story, everyone. They celebrate the penis. They are cock worshippers in Japan, you might say.
Okay.
Uh, what was I going to say? I was going to say something else earlier. You asked me how I was doing. Wait a second. I'm going to stop the screen there so I go back to.
Yeah, that was something I had never experienced before. So thank you for
Well,
that. That
it
was
came to mind though with
that
the
was
cicadas and the breeding. I don't know if it's an aphrodisiac, but the
yeah,
Japanese
that was
literally do worship the penis. They
that was
have huge
delightful.
monuments, statues, rides. They ride the penis. They have candies. You name it. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
the impetus, the
It's like
catalyst,
tens of
the so-
thousands, maybe 100,000 people go to that. It's a huge
the,
festival every
the
year.
stimulator of creation. Without it, none of us would be here, right?
Yeah, but in the West, they don't love the penis the way they do. They're openly worshiping, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, the Japanese, they're pretty what's the word? I don't know. They're pretty liberal with like their sexuality. I was passing through Tokyo one time, just like on regular television. I think it was channel 22 or something like that. It's a pretty famous one, but they do sex shows on the channel, like girls masturbating, and whoever can orgasm first wins a prize or something. It was pretty wild.
wow.
Yeah, they're flicking their bean or they're sitting on a vibrating machine or something, and they're just going bananas. And like girls that could scream the loudest, I think they'd get a prize, and the ones that wet their pants or whatever, they'd get a prize. But it was like on regular television. It wasn't like pay per view or anything. It was just like regular television. It wasn't even cable TV.
Oh, really? Wow. That's
Yeah, it was
crazy.
pretty amazing.
That's
I think
crazy.
it's I think governments like they're and this might sound a little bit conspiratorial, but they'll tailor what's allowed and like what they promote in the mainstream based on what the needs of the country are. Like for take Japan for example, it has a graying population and a really low birth rate, right? Like replacement rate. So they need to stimulate more sexuality and get people interested in having children. So they allow those things to be a little more open in public. Whereas China, for the longest time, has supposedly been overabundant in population. And so they're very chaste here. Like there's no sexuality at all on television. Pornography is actually illegal, or banned. You can't have it. You could get in
Oh, I
trouble
didn't
for
know
it.
that. What?
Yeah,
Banned.
yeah. There's
Illegal.
no
Oh,
nudity. Yeah, they can't have
damn.
nudity, and even in movies. Um,
So from one Asian
Another
country to the next, it's like the opposite. It's freewheeling in Japan where it's right on TV, and then it's illegal.
right, and I think it's a testament to what they want to do. Like with here, they want population control. They had the one child policy, that kind of thing. Whereas in Japan, they have to kind of try to stimulate people to be more sexually active. I don't know. That's just my theory.
That might be part of it. I wonder about other Asian countries like Singapore where they cane people on the ass and stuff like that. I wonder what their policy is with sex, nudity, pornography.
Uh,
I don't
Probably
know.
pretty strict, I would imagine. I don't know. I was in like Japan again. Japan will have pornographic magazines in the 7-Eleven and stuff, which is very reminiscent for me of like growing up in LA. That's a common thing you'd see in the corner store. But here, there's nothing of that nature. And then the Philippines, it seems like they had magazines in their 7-Elevens and stuff like that, like girly
So
mags.
do you think in Singapore that they would cane the asses of Chinese women if they went there and they acted naughty? Do you think they just cane their
I
bare
think
asses in
so.
public, or what?
I think they would. I think they would humiliate them, probably bind and make them bow to the image of their queen or whatever, and then cane them publicly. I would never set foot
Wow.
in Singapore, me personally, because of their repressive policies. Like, I heard that if you get caught with like a marijuana cigarette, you could spend life in prison or something. And
What?
so, with that kind of horse shit going on, people say Singapore, and I say go fuck yourself.
That's a little bit heavy-handed. Life in prison for one joint. What?
That's what I've heard, man. They are
You
extremely
can
strict.
legally order a bag full of joints delivered to your door in Canada and just pay at your door. It's
Right.
legal here. I mean, you could get it delivered right to you. It's fully legalized
Yeah,
everywhere. I
the
mean,
same in the
that's
States for the
incredible.
most
Life
part.
in prison. That's like North
Yeah.
Korea, basically. What the fuck?
No, yeah, North
What?
Korea. If you take a propaganda pic, didn't that Canadian recently he like died? I guess it was a few years ago, but he was in North Korea and he took a propaganda poster or something, and they locked him up and starved him to death and like tortured him to death.
Yeah, I think they caned his ass too. I think they caned him.
Wow.
They do canings there as well, North Korea. They do tortures there, but they will beat your ass. Say Meph said to us, "Oh, what was I gonna? I was gonna say to you when you said how am I
Right, right,
doing?
right.
I had a great dinner. I had some pasta. I ordered some food delivery because I
Okay.
was up, and then I ordered some dinner.
Grubhub.
And no, it was DoorDash, and
Okay.
I ordered some DoorDash delivery from a restaurant, and they made me some
Nice.
nice pasta, pesto, and mushrooms and all this stuff in it, and olive oil, and what else did it have? Oh, it had chicken, grilled chicken on top, and then I had a
To go with
cheesecake.
marinara, bolognese, fettuccine. What kind of sauce
No,
did you get?
it was just a pesto with
Oh, okay.
pesto and olive oil with tomato
Nice.
and mushroom. It was kind of a light pasta, and then I had a strawberry cheesecake slice. It was wonderful, man. It was wonderful. I was like,
Oh yeah,
man, this is
I
like
believe it.
mouthgasms. I was eating, going, hell realm. This is fucking wonderful. I don't know if this could be a hell realm with food like this. This is like heaven, like a heavenly
No,
cheesecake.
yeah. Well,
It's just
it's
so delicious.
the dualistic distinction, right? The discernment. We've got a cheesecake factory over here. Cheesecake factory is an LA thing, but we've got one
Yeah,
here in
I've
Bay.
been there. I've been there in LA, and
Yeah,
one of the beach
honestly,
places had it.
yeah, the one in LA is mediocre compared to this one in Beijing. I don't know.
Oh
Like this
wow,
one's been,
really?
yeah, it's been here about 10 years, and they kind of established it as like a 5-star eating facility. Um, it opened in like one of those shopping malls with the Gucci and the Louis Vuitton and all of that, but it's like a flagship cheesecake factory. I eat in there a couple of times a year, but I went back to LA recently and I ate in the LA one and it was just crap compared to the one over here. And I was like, good God, what's going on? Maybe with a restaurant, the quality is always going to vary. There's going to be good days and bad days, and you might just get an off day. But yeah,
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
really good cheesecake here. They import it all from the US, though.
I
It's
didn't
US
know the
made.
Chinese ate like cheesecake. They like that. They're cheesecake
Here's
eaters. Like,
here's an interesting phenomenon that occurred since I've been here. I've been here over 2 decades, right? Back in the early days, they were heavily promoting the television sitcom Friends. You're probably familiar with it.
yeah, what? Promoting in
Yeah.
China? Oh,
Yeah, it was all over China. It was all over the media. They made these DVD packages that could help you learn English based on watching Friends. Of course, they edited it. They censored it to take out anything that was controversial. But they used this for years, and I'm like, what's going on? Why are they promoting Friends all the time? And all during those years, they started opening Starbucks and cafes all over the place. And I'm like, oh, there it is there. It's like predictive
oh,
programming. They're brainwashing them to want coffee, right? And so
oh.
they developed this whole coffee culture all around the idea of learning English, watching the television show Friends, and then going down to Starbucks to have coffee and cheesecake. And so they, a soft, weaponized culture. They kind of sold them on the idea, And so it became a bit of a phenomenon. It probably lasted about 10 years after the indoctrination, but then it kind of faded out too. Like Starbucks opened more stores in China than they did anywhere else in the world. I think they opened like over 500 stores here. And they focused on China as their new expanding market for a while. But of course, with the Kung Flu, everything kind of fell apart like globally as far as those types of things go.
Oh wow. I
But
never
yeah,
would have thought
that's
Chinese people would
interesting, right?
love to eat cheesecake and have coffee. That's pretty interesting. That's unbelievable almost.
It shows you how fast you can change like a culture and what it thinks of things, like with just a couple of, like, not even a, maybe just a generation of indoctrination. You get them while they're young.
Do the Chinese have the Rachel haircut now that she had
They
in
did it
Friends?
for a while. Monica is the one they loved, really.
Oh,
They weren't
Monica.
so, yeah, they loved Monica and Phoebe. Nobody really was big on Jennifer Aniston, but
Oh,
they loved, probably because the dark hair for Monica, and then like Phoebe's like your classic blondie that's kind of, airheaded. Is that what I'm looking for? Scatterbrain.
yeah.
Yeah, so she became the idol. And then right after that, that whole generation, the next generation, they used that TV show with the two waitresses, and the Korean boss in that restaurant. I forget what that one's called, but like two bunk chicks or something.
Huh. Wow. I just can't picture
Yeah.
them watching that over there, but
Well,
hell,
again, like
Ron,
if
we have Starbucks and cheesecake. It's wonderful. I mean, in China, they have
right,
cheesecake at Starbucks. Like, what the hell? I
the
never would
one
have
thing they
imagined China being like that.
the one thing they kind of missed the ticket on was Taco Bell. They opened one in Shanghai, it didn't do very well. Then they've opened like three or four in Beijing that have all closed within like a year. For some reason, Chinese folks just really don't get into tacos. Like they don't get it, and so every taco shop has never done very well here,
They
except
can't
for with the
sell a
foreign
damn taco
community,
in China.
of course.
They
No,
struggle
you
to
can't.
sell a single taco in China.
Yeah,
That's
you can't sell a
crazy.
fucking taco here. They're just not interested.
Or Taco Bell burrito, or all the
No.
others, whatever they
And I
have.
think I think part of the reason is they have so many, like in Chinese culture, they have so many products that are already like that, but they're made with it to an even higher level and cheaper. So you can get like really tasty like meat uh biscuits and stuff like that, meat pies and meat roll-ups or whatever, and they've already got all of that, and it's all dirt cheap, and they do it so much better. I mean, it's not better. if
Oh,
you're if you're a Westerner, you definitely probably love your Mexican food, but like they've already got the market cornered on that, so it's not really something that appeals to the Chinese.
no, it'd be
But
confusing
burgers
too
do.
because they'd be trying to eat tacos with chopsticks and going, "What the fuck? How do I do this? How do I pick up
Right.
a taco with chopsticks or a
here's the
burrito?"
Here's the
You know?
craziest thing. Have you ever seen a Chinese person eat a bag of chips with chopsticks? Blew my fucking mind.
Yes, I've seen that with some immigrants that got here, like fresh
Have
off
you seen
the
that?
boat or fresh off the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's
open a bag
weird.
of Lay's potato chips or whatever, and they throw a pair of chopsticks in there so they don't get their fingers greasy. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I
It's like,
don't
what the
think they
fuck
ate
are you
Taco Bell
doing?
on Friends, so maybe that's why they didn't get the programming. Like if they watched a
Maybe,
black show,
maybe.
if they showed Chinese like black TV, they'd be KFC would be more popular. I think it is in Japan. I don't know if it's in China, but KFC,
Yeah,
if they had like what was that Martin show or something on TV, and some of those black shows, the sitcoms, Family
I don't
Matters
know. I
with
missed
Urkel,
it. Yeah,
those kind of shows, like you know what
right.
I'm saying though, like fried
Yeah,
chicken
yeah,
KFC,
sure.
they could get KFC as a big thing in China if they showed them more black people eating KFC.
Right.
I don't think they
No,
ate it
KFC.
on Friends.
They've got KFC here, but it's not as big as McDonald's. For some reason, the burger and fries was a much bigger seller and far more integrated. Like if you ask any average Chinese person if they'd rather have KFC or McDonald's, they'll always opt for McDonald's. They prefer it.
That's weird. Maybe they
Yeah.
associate fried chicken with black people. Like maybe it's a racial thing. like a
It's a good
stereotype that they have
possibility.
where they might be like, yeah, that's lower. McDonald's is higher up in their minds, class wise or
Right.
as food. And they might be thinking, well,
Yeah.
chicken, is that even real chicken? They might be thinking that's fake chicken at KFC.
Right. Yeah, some of the stories of genetically modified chickens with 4 wings and 3 breasts that floated around for a while. Like I had kids in high school asking me, they're like, "Is this legit? Are you guys over in the States? Are you breeding chickens with 4 wings and 3 breasts?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Maybe it's
Yeah,
possible, I guess."
that's been going around for years, that rumor. But how would
No,
they eat chicken, fried chicken with their hands, or would they try to use chopsticks
no,
with
you
like
got
a
it.
chicken?
Everything in Chinese culture, like the cuisine, it's always pre-chopped up. Like if you got a whole chicken and you grill it or whatever, you got to chop it up so that it's
Oh,
chopstick
you don't eat
size.
the pieces then. You don't have whole pieces at
No,
all.
like everything will be
Wow.
chopped up. Yeah, so that's why they're called chopsticks because you eat chopped food with it. So
Yeah.
like
So then
pretty
what the
much
hell would they do with a bucket of chicken at KFC? Would they be confused? They'd be like getting
maybe,
served
yeah,
that.
maybe.
Someone that's never gone to KFC is a Chinese person, their first time at KFC, they might be thinking, "What? How am I going to eat this?
Well,
What am I going
I've
to
seen
do
them.
with this?"
I've seen them stab like a single chopstick into it and make it like a skewer, and then eat it off the single chopstick.
Oh, like a shish kebab kind of thing where they just
Right,
skewer it
right.
and they just
Yeah,
eat the
they
chicken like that.
yeah, they just don't get it. They don't get finger food at
Like
all. It's
like
really
they
kind of a
that's what I was wondering because I've never seen them eat with their hands. They just
it's kind
harpoon
of
the
a
fucking thing basically like they're
right.
harpooning a whale. They take their chopstick and just
Exactly.
stab through it and they're just like, "Fuck, I don't know what to do with this." And stab through a chicken breast and just start
Exactly.
eating it like
Yeah.
that. I mean, god damn.
Yeah, it's there's just certain things it's hard for them to get their head around, they just don't
I'd
get it.
love to see Chinese people eating KFC. I'd pay to watch that. I mean, I think that'd be a show in itself. That would be a show in
Oh,
itself, wouldn't it? Just
yeah.
have a camera in a KFC in China and just
I'll
watch
have
these
to
people and
yeah.
figuring out what to do with it.
I'll have to live stream next time I'm in there or something
That would be
or
great
maybe
content for YouTube.
that would be. Yeah, I'll try to get some covert because that it's kind of intrusive. Like I would do a lot more videoing like being over here and stuff, but it's somewhat intrusive when you're out in public. And like I told you before, we've got like 150 cameras from every angle watching you at every intersection. So like too much of
Oh
that activity,
yeah.
like about those guys who were really hard on China and rode around on their motorcycles and shit. They got kicked out of the country. They got their visas permanently revoked. So like if you intrude too much, they'll label you a spy.
Wait, what guys
And
were intruding on motorcycles? Did they have
I
chewing
don't
tobacco or were they just on motorcycles?
no, there was a couple of guys that rode around on motorcycles with cameras on their helmet, and they kind of like did like
They
a lot of
weren't
shit
Chinese.
talking
Are you
about
saying they
Chinese
were like
culture.
foreigner? Were
Yeah,
they
they were
foreign?
Westerners. Yeah, they
Okay. Were
they
they
lived.
black guys or
No,
like
one
on
was a
motor?
white guy. One guy was
Okay.
white. One guy was like mostly Arabic, I think, like a darker kind of white guy, like a
They had cameras
swar-
on their helmets, helmet cams. Like
swarthy complexion.
I was gonna say, were any riding around eating KFC on motorcycles, filming China like a drumstick in his mouth, and he's riding around on a motorcycle, filming? I don't know. That would
No,
be
their
funny. That'd
their
be
whole thing
ghetto.
was to like film all of those darker, poorer areas of China and like the kind of crazy shit that your average hillbilly here would get up to. And so that was like their big thing was like just heavy criticism of China. And so, but ultimately, they were here for quite a while, like over a decade, but they ultimately got kicked out.
Oh, they
So they're
kicked them
just
out of the country completely,
right.
like as rebel rousers, or as did they? What did they treat them as? Troublemakers or dissidents, or they thought they were actual spies, or like how far did it go?
I don't know exactly. Like I kept up with them a little bit. I watched their stuff kind of off and on, but I always found it kind of in poor taste. So like if you're a guest in someone else's country,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like
it is.
ride around and find like the absolute worst that you can of their society, just for like
Yeah.
clickbaiting, YouTube or whatever. And so I never really respected their work. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I didn't really pay that much attention to it. But I'd like me myself, I wouldn't want to really go down that path because I'm
It
pretty
is poor
heavily invested,
taste. It
and,
is that is kind of poor taste.
I'm pretty heavily invested too. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I just pictured them riding around on motorcycles with the helmet cams on and just like this the absurdity of it, of the black one eating KFC, a drumstick in his mouth, another one spitting out Big Mac like with his mouth open. It's spitting out this Big Mac all over as he's riding this motorcycle, and another guy riding the motorcycle filming with chewing tobacco, like a big cheek full of chewing tobacco and is filling up
Oh,
like a baseball sized cheek or something, and just
shopping
comical, but
shopping for watermelons,
shopping for watermelons. Yeah, I mean, uh,
hanging out in brothels. Yeah, they kind of went down that dark path, which is, it's fine and dandy, but again, you're not going to be welcome long in someone's, kingdom if that's the way you kind of expose all of their, what is that? What do we call that in the West? Like airing out the dirty laundry or whatever. Which, all right, a little bit of that is a little bit of criticism is definitely necessary, but I would think that like the people themselves do it, and a lot of them get shut down too. I mean, too much criticism over here. You don't have the same freedoms of speech that you would in a Western country. And I've seen even in recent times in Western countries, you guys are losing a lot of the freedoms that that have been espoused as being kind of the cornerstone of Western civilization. But
I don't know how
again,
the
that's
fuck they would eat. How would they eat coleslaw? Like KFC's green, they used to have the green coleslaw that was very finely chopped with
you
chopsticks.
know
How would they do that?
that's one of the interesting things. That one actually got phased out. Like they've got items on the Chinese KFC menu that you won't find on the Western menu. Like in the morning, they have rice porridge in a bowl, like a soup, and they make these fried dough sticks. They're kind of like long donuts, made like an eclair, but with nothing on it, just fried dough. And those are breakfast items at like a Chinese KFC that you wouldn't see in the West. And then they
What?
don't
I've
have
never heard of those.
yeah, and then they don't have things that you would look for, like coleslaw. It's not on the menu. You can't even
Oh,
get
you
it.
can't even get coleslaw. Damn. I could imagine being a black person. Imagine a Negro going into a KFC in China and being like, "Where's the coleslaw? Where's the mac and cheese, macaroni salad? Where's the?" Like they wouldn't know what to do. They'd be kind
Yeah,
of
there's
freaked out by it.
no mac and cheese, no coleslaw. They would certainly be like shocked and appalled, and they would go in there, and the chicken pieces are a little bit smaller, and maybe the flavor's a little different. Yeah, so and they do sometimes they come over here, colored folks, and they're looking for some of those mainstays, and they're like, oh, KFC, let's go in, let's have a dinner. And yeah, they get upset. They're yelling at the clerk and stuff.
All the poor Chinese people be yelled at
Yeah,
by a group of loud Negroes coming in angry about the KFC. Oh my
they jump
gosh.
on the counter, they're beating their breast, they're pulling out their fucking hair and rolling around
Oh,
in the aisle, and it's like, oh, it's just a whole scene. So
oh, god damn.
yeah, kind of a
God
bummer.
damn. Hey,
Yeah,
I
you
was
have
going to
to
ask you though, but
go ahead. Yeah.
the racial thing though, do you think that there's a possibility that if you got reincarnated, you come back as a small Chinese person or a black person or Korean maybe? I don't think Chinese and Japanese like Koreans, right? They're kind of, are they at odds? I think
Um,
that in Japan they call the Koreans pigs. They call them pigs and they hate them.
yeah, it depends on like your echelon in society. Like if you're from the lower echelons, like the poorer classes, then yes, they have very strong biases against the Koreans, and most Southeast Asians in general, and throughout the entire society, they have a strong hatred of the Japanese because of World War II and what went on with the Japanese and the Sino-Japanese War. I guess that's what it's called. The war between Japan and China, like Japan invaded China in the 1930s, and they committed some pretty fierce atrocities, like in Nanjing and Shanghai. And so there's like an entire generation that has grown up on war movies that yeah, what is that you're trying to share? That's not That's not Sino-Japanese stuff, is it? Oh, that's
It's
Japan versus Korea. Okay.
yeah, it's Japan versus Korea with the Japanese. It says no boycott Japan, the South Koreans, and then Koreans are parasites. So Japanese people really do not like Koreans, and
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't
they
know
don't.
that. I was
No,
unfamiliar
they
with
don't.
that.
They don't want
I
them
know
to
that.
immigrate.
Yeah, because the Japanese during the 1930s, they came into the mainland and they invaded, and like they had sports where like samurais would walk around in Nanjing and see how many Chinese peasants they could cut the heads off of with their samurai swords. And there was a couple of really famous samurai who were like yoked up, and they had really sharp sword and stuff, and they would print it in the local Nanjing newspaper, like Samurai Tokushima or whatever, cut off 100 heads today. What a warrior, what a hero. And my dad was in the U.S. Navy during World War II, and he came over here and helped train the Chinese to fight the Japanese and to resist the Japanese invasion. And he said that like at the time the Chinese were like the peasant class was just really, really, I don't know, like how to describe it. Like they didn't know how to fight, they had no spirit to fight, and they would just kind of wander around, and they would watch like all their mates get their heads cut off, and they wouldn't even say or do anything, and they would just wander around as like these samurais would just wade through them and just decapitate them. And he said that they almost had like lifeless NPC looks in their faces. And so the U.S. military really had to work hard to teach these guys how to defend themselves and how to fight back.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of surreal to think about it. Like if you do a little investigation into the massacre or the rape of Nanjing, there's tons of black and white photos out there of like these samurais smiling with big cleavers and like walls of heads stacked up behind them, like hundreds and hundreds of heads stacked into walls.
Oh, damn! It's so strange
Yeah, so
because
they
we
they were
we
pretty
tend to
brutal.
think that Orientals are all the same, but they're at war with each other. Essentially, they can't stand each other.
Right. In that instance, yeah, the Japanese and the Chinese, there's a very strong, bitter rivalry that goes back,
And
decades and
Japan and
decades.
Korea.
Yeah, I
So
didn't know
it's
about
like
that. I
it's
didn't.
it's yeah, it's every which way. None of these Orientals can stand each other from one nation to the next. They're bitter enemies. I mean, it's crazy to think about because we tend to think, well, they look very similar, but they're very different.
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
long-standing hatred.
And even though to some extent a lot of their cultures are very similar too, like if you think about the Japanese use chopsticks, the Koreans use chopsticks. They're all kind of eaten with sticks. So it's like you would think that would be a unifying principle among them. You look across the table, the guy's got sticks in his hands just like you do. You think that might be a unifying principle, but it's not. Like
No, they want to harpoon each other with those chopsticks. That's what they
right.
really want. That's what they really want to do when they're sitting across the table from someone.
That's actually part of the chopstick culture too. Like the emperor didn't want any weapon type material in the dining halls, so they got rid of any knives, and so everything's chopped prior to coming to the table. That way, nobody can have a knife in the dining area.
I can just envision these samurai though, wading through a huge crowd and beheading them with these huge two-handed swords, swinging and just saying, "Hell, Rum! I beheaded 100 Chinese today. This is wonderful, man. This is fucking
Right.
glorious. This is glorious." Like just slicing through them like butter, like a hot knife through butter, with all
Yeah.
these heads exploding and just lining up. I mean, they must have been bloodthirsty and sadistic, or I don't know what would drive them to want to just behead that many people. I don't know.
I don't
You
know
think they
too.
would
It's
be psychotic, or
some kind of
what would it be?
programming too, like it was a part of the culture. Like they were it's not like they were doing it and then being vilified as like murderers or anything. They were doing it as a part of their overall culture. These were the heroic warriors of their culture, and they were supported by the entire nation and institution in doing these things. They felt like overcoming and what is the word, like dominating China was absolutely essential to their overall survival and stuff. So they felt like it was their duty to do these kinds of things.
Oh, they had killing contests of beheading who could behead the most. I mean, I'm seeing it right now. I Googled it. There's 100-man killing contest. They had all this stuff with the samurai trying to behead who could kill 100 people the fastest while using the
Okay, so
sword.
it shows up in Google. Wow, fascinating.
Yeah, it shows up in Google where they had these contests to see who could behead the most, who could kill 100 people the fastest. So yeah, the Japanese really promoted beheading the Chinese. It was like a sport.
Right. Yeah. See, I got turned
Yeah.
onto it by a girl that was a research student in college when I first got over here because I didn't know anything about that. There was a lot of things about modern Chinese culture I didn't know anything about because I studied like ancient Chinese culture. I didn't get into anything uh, in New China. 1949 is when New China began, and so I was everything pre 1949 and even earlier that I enjoyed studying. And so she turned me onto it. She was actually a student from Nanjing, and she's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Why do you guys dislike the Japanese so much?" Because I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And so then I thought back to like some of the my father's World War II stories, and I thought, oh, okay, that's why. And because like for us, like as Americans, I don't know, we kind of moved on. Like there was World War II, and there was some vicious fighting between the Japanese and the U.S. and the Pacific Islands and stuff like that. But like my dad never grew up teaching me to hate the Japanese, and so I didn't really get it. But then when she turned me onto that material, and I started reading about it. A couple of websites come to mind. One was I don't know if you ever have investigated this one, but Hawaii.edu/power kills. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure if you've ever heard about this professor's research.
Democide? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Or
that one.
yeah,
That
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So he did a lot of
Democide.
documentation onto it, and I got into it a little bit and researched it. And I was like, wow, like Pol Pot and some of these other guys. But so it just, going down the rabbit hole, one thing led to another. I didn't even think a lot of that information would still be available on Google. So it's amazing that you can still look that up.
There's a Puya in the chat. He calls himself Demon Slayer. Why doesn't he come on and join us?
Yeah, I
Why
don't
is
know
he
what
afraid to share his voice? And
I wasn't
he's
even looking
very
at the.
oh, he's in the chat room here on your channel.
Oh,
He's
okay.
typing, but he's very cowardly. He doesn't want anybody to hear his soy boy voice and see his face, and he's just kind of a
I
little coward. But
yeah, I see that now. I see that now.
yeah, he uses
Yeah.
AI for his voice because he sounds like a little soy boy. He's got a squeaky little voice. I think he's a little incel. I think he might be a little incel, and his balls haven't dropped, so he doesn't want anybody to hear his real voice. He's got to use AI for all his videos.
It's a good
He can't show
possibility.
his face.
Yeah. So you are familiar with that research then, and you know
Oh
about that.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Good. Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
So like
hundreds
I
of
was saying,
millions. I think it's 500 million or something in the last century by
right,
Democide, something like that, 500 million. Yeah, I mean it's a
right.
slaughterhouse that we're in.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
you got to wonder
slaughterhouse.
what the fuck's really going on when
It's not
things
a
like
hell
that are
realm, but it's a
happening.
slaughterhouse.
And honestly, I was really suspicious about during the most recent thing that we went through with the whole kung flu and that type of thing. Like our society here where I live was literally like on prison level shutdown for almost a year, and then the following year like it didn't really open up that much either. And then the fucking strangest thing is like we went from a city of like what was claimed to be 25 million people to a fucking city that was a ghost town. And our levels outside, like you walk around and shit, it's nothing like it was pre, what do we say, pre pandemic or whatever. Like the population fucking disappeared, or so you got to wonder where these motherfuckers go, right? And what happened, what was really going on when the lights were out. Makes me wonder anyway.
Oh yeah,
I'd say we're
yeah.
probably around 10 million folks. I don't know, like, but just looking at the day-to-day traffic, like it dropped below 50% of what it used to be.
Maybe there were some beheadings or something. Maybe they had some brought in some Samurai. I don't know.
It's a good possibility. It makes one wonder. So why is this guy? Do you know this guy? Is this someone that can? Let me post this real quick. He's got a question for you. He says, "Demon Slayer. You see that? What's going on with this demon? You've got
He's a
demons.
anonymous troll. He won't show his face or use his voice. He's just a coward. I think he might
Yeah,
be a eunuch. I think he
I
could
don't
be a
see
eunuch.
a profile pic, but that just might be my internet. It might not be loading
Well,
for me.
no, he might have been he doesn't use his real face. He's too afraid, but he's a coward. I think he might have been castrated by chopsticks.
Okay.
I think he might have been castrated by chopsticks. I think he's just a little coward, a little
Well, yeah,
fool.
you got to think about some of like the I don't know what is it childhood trauma that people sometimes carry around. Maybe they're orphaned or abused. Maybe he was an altar boy and he got rammed one too many times
Yeah,
in
could
the
have been.
brown eye.
Could have been. He might have 20 chopsticks up his ass right now, for all we know. He could he could he could be he could be playing with himself with chopsticks for all we know. He might be
Oh,
using chopsticks to masturbate with his little dick. Who
he
knows?
he he says that he's a gooner and he's a corn addict and he wants to.
Oh
I guess
wow.
he wants to eat corn out of your bunghole or something. That sounds kind of naughty.
Oh, he's gross. What a degenerate. What a degenerate.
Yeah.
And maybe he wants to eat McDonald's while he's getting rammed by, I don't know, dildos or something, or
Some
raped by
people just
Japanese
yeah they don't get it. They
samurai.
can't keep their mind out of the gutter. They're just degenerates. But that's okay. To each his own. If I'm not going to shirk him too much for that.
Well,
But
why doesn't he come on? The link is right there. Why doesn't he come on and if he's so tough, leave the
maybe
chat room and come on and talk to us?
maybe I need to pin it so he can see it. Sometimes these types of folks, their level of retardation prevents them from even being able to access
He
something
could
as
be,
easy
yeah.
as
He
easy as
might
a
be
pinned
severely
comment.
he might
Let's
be
see.
severely mentally retarded.
Yeah, there's a good chance of it. Okay, I think I pinned the comment. Is that how I do it? I like put a little star on it. I don't know what that does. No, that's wrong. Okay, there. Pin. Put user in timeout. I don't want to do that. I want to pin the comment, but I think I have to do that on YouTube.
I could see the comment though.
Yeah,
It's
it's right
still on
there.
my
It's only
screen. It's just right
it's
there.
one,
It's right
two,
there.
three, four, five. Okay, five down there. Demon Slayer, if you want to come on and enjoy the show, give us a little look at who you are. Um, I don't mind showing who I am, but I'm just hanging out in the kitchen today, so like I always feel a little better like if I'm in my studio at work, and otherwise I would turn on the camera because yeah, here I am. I'm shirtless, hanging out in the kitchen. I haven't shaved
Well,
in
Demon Slayer, he's never shown
in
himself. He's
three
never been in a
weeks.
picture or video. I'm in
Oh really?
videos on my channel, short videos. Yeah, he's never shown himself. He's never used his real voice. He makes videos using an AI robot voice that sounds so stupid. I mean, it's just he's a coward. He's an
Oh,
absolute
okay. I
coward.
remember Demon Slayer now. He made a video about you that got like a couple of hundred views, right? Like denouncing you and,
Oh,
and
his whole
calling you a bad
channel's
guy and
about me,
stuff.
dude. Every
Is it
video on his
really?
channel's about me. Every video
Oh my
on his channel
god.
is about me. It's like 60
Wow.
or 70 videos or something. I don't know. I haven't looked for a while, but it's all about me. I'm his
It's
hero. I'm his
okay.
hero. He's obsessed with me. He's obsessed with me.
Yeah, if yeah, I did. I think I posted one of his videos once. If he has such a like an obsessive interest in you, like to the point where it's obsessive, it seems like he would have a more eloquent, more polished attack than just you're a gooner or he wants to eat corn out of your butt. I would think that he would be coming with his A game. I don't know though, it's just the Frank
He's
Monday channel. It's
he's
it's not like
just
you gotta wear a fucking shirt and tie or
no,
anything.
he's just an anonymous cowardly fag basically. He's pretty common.
Mm.
He's an incel. I don't think he's ever had a girlfriend in his life. Can't show his
I
face because women would puke if they saw him. That's probably the case.
He's yeah, and he's full of shit too. He's an obvious like compulsive liar because he said he got paid $100,000 to make videos about you. I can't imagine that's true. If someone were going to pay me $100,000 to make, I don't know, that just doesn't seem real.
I don't
Is
think
that
he'll
what?
make $100,000 in his life. To be honest, I don't.
Yeah,
His
probably not
life
in this
earnings, I don't
lifetime.
think will be $100,000 in a lifetime. He's probably some broke ass loser on welfare or something.
Right, right. I was thinking UBI that only pays like $10,000 a year, right, before taxes.
Yeah, whatever he's making, I don't think is very much money.
That
He's a
universal basic
loser.
income,
He's a
welfare.
loser.
Show your true faces. No, I don't get it. Well, anyway, at least he's here enjoying the show. Demon Slayer, welcome wherever you are and whenever you may be receiving the transmission. We had some really pithy banter going on before we deviated and let your little insidious horse shit get us off topic. But yeah, so we did a solid hour, man. Fucking rock on. That was really good. What's up next? It's hot here in the capital. We're according to the Chinese lunar solar calendar, we're actually moving into autumn this week. So on Wednesday, the 7th, they actually calculate the start of autumn. And I'll tell you the craziest fucking thing, Stephen, about living in Beijing. The weather here follows the calendar, like this calendar, like Huangdi made 5,000 years ago or something, basically legendary. But like on the day of the start of autumn, which is this week like I said, on the 7th of August this year, the weather will totally change. All this oppressive heat will be alleviated, like the humidity will drop, and everything will start to look like autumn. Like it works like fucking clockwork in this city. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if this place is like automated or something, or on clockwork, but I swear to God, it follows that calendar so closely. It's unbelievable and undeniable.
Wow, that is crazy.
Like I'll give you an example just for further reference. Last month, so July and August are the hottest, right? And they have a cycle called small heat, whereas like where the heat starts to kick up and it lasts 2 weeks. And then the cycle right after that is called great heat. And that started on the 22nd of last month, July 22nd. And it lasts until the 7th of this month. And then the 7th of this month is the start of autumn, which is great heat will break. And I can already feel it breaking. Like it's still pretty fucking hot and oppressive, but I can feel that over the next couple of days, that heat's going to dial back and we're going to start feeling autumn like weather. So it's just crazy the way it works. I don't know if it applies anywhere else in the world, but that calendar was specifically developed for like this area, Beijing in particular. And this city, if you don't know much about it, it's set up on like a perfectly aligned north-south grid. So like the Forbidden City, the Emperor's Palace, its south, its main door faces due south. And so everything's aligned on a north-south axis. And so having lived in Beijing for so long, like when I go to other cities, I always feel like everything's a little bit off because they don't set up the I'm just looking at what you got there on the imagery.
Yeah,
I
chewing
they had
tobacco.
yeah, my grandma chewed fucking chewing tobacco. She's an Appalachian Irish on my mother's side, but she gave me look this up if you can on Google. It's called day's work chewing tobacco. So like if you just put in day's work before chewing tobacco, my maternal grandmother chewed this shit her entire life. Unfucking believable. She came from a
Oh
family of coal
wow,
miners, so yeah.
what
Yeah,
was it
if you
called
look it
again?
up.
Day work.
Day's work chewing
Day
tobacco.
work chewing tobacco.
Yeah. I think that's what it was
Oh,
called. Like when I was like 11 years old. Yeah, she took me in the convenience store. I was visiting there one summer, and she's like, "Hey kid, why don't you get yourself one of those?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" It looked like a candy bar. And she's like, "That's a day's work chew." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I grabbed one and I bought it. It was like 25 cents or something back then. And she's like, "Just bite yourself off a chunk of that and chew on it." And I did. And I ended up puking for like an hour, man. I was like, what are you trying to do? You trying to fucking poison me? Like I'm an 11-year-old grandma. It's like, that's all right. You should be in the coal mine.
Oh shit. Oh, puking for an hour. Damn. This
Yeah,
almost looks like Chinese noodles or something, this package here. I'm looking
I
at
thought
that going, what the?
day's work too. I thought she was trying to kill me, man. Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
But the Red Man, yeah, the Red Man was a classic. We had a bubble gum, like a Bubblicious pack of chewing gum that was in that same package as Red Man. You know, they had candy cigarettes when I was a kid. I don't know if they had these where you grew up. But they had
Yeah, I remember those.
candy cigarettes that said just like
Yeah,
Dad.
I remember those. Yeah, I used
They
to get
sold them.
those. Even the little Popeyes ones too. Those ones.
Yeah, Skull's a pretty famous one.
God damn.
So yeah, is that something that Demon Slayer likes? Is he just sit there with the snuff running down his chin and all over his?
I don't know if he's got a little spit cup for. I don't know if he. I don't know if he has chewing tobacco or. Yeah, I don't know. He's probably got his underoos on right now. His little. I mean, he's just a little clown. I think he's just a little clown.
Well, I got to admit,
he might be jerking off to your show. He could be jerking off right now to your show.
I'm hanging out in board shorts, and but yeah, it is hot here in the capital.
Did your granny ride a motorcycle? The one that had the chewing tobacco?
No, she didn't really ride a motorcycle. She bought me a motorcycle when I came out to stay with her. She bought me a.
She bought you one. Okay.
Yeah, I think she was really trying to get me killed. No, she wanted me to grow up like a country boy. She told me since I was from LA and I was visiting her in the countryside, she's like, I'll turn you into a country boy yet. And one of the first things she had me do was murder a chicken. And I was like, what the fuck, Grandma? She bought me a rifle and a 11, 12 years old. She bought me a rifle and a motorcycle and gave me chewing tobacco. And I think I had a toothache one time or something, and she made me drink like a glass of whiskey. Yeah, she was hardcore country, man. She didn't fuck around. And if you backtalk her, this was her right here. This might have been her in her younger days, but she had like, what did she have? She had like a Buick or something, like maybe not, like I don't know, a station wagon, wood paneled station wagon or something. I can't even remember. But she was so small she couldn't reach the pedals, and she had like a couple of 2x4s taped around the gas pedal. And I don't even think she had brakes on the car. Yeah, her feet couldn't reach the pedals, so she like taped a 2x4, like a chunk of 2x4 on the gas pedal. I was like, but Grandma, you still can't reach the brake. She's like, I don't need no fucking brake. Yeah.
Holy shit.
She'd drive those country roads full power without a brake. She didn't even care. She'd pull on the e-brake when she needed to stop. She's like, we don't need to stop but once, and the hill will slow us down. Yeah, she was crazy like that.
There might even be some YouTubers that are like 1.5 leprechauns tall that have 2x4s and stuff on their gas pedal. There's some short YouTubers on the Green Wizard is one of them that I always talk about. But Demon Slayer, he's probably a short little incel, I think too. Probably a short little incel.
His feet don't reach the floor, that kind of
guy. He can't reach it. He's got to use a phone book for a booster seat and stuff like that to see over the steering wheel and over the dashboard. He's just a tiny little creature.
He's jerking off in his diaper and his feet are just kicking.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. These granny on motorcycle, these are pretty funny.
He's got a pacifier in his mouth and a rattle in one hand.
He's getting turned on by watching these grannies on motorcycles like this one here. He's getting all turned on and worked up now.
Yeah, too much visual stimulation there for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got some stuff going on. I'm not really paying attention to the chat, but he does have something to say. He says, I don't know. I can't even like read. I don't think he went. I don't think he graduated high school because most of what he says doesn't really like make any sense. I don't know where these
No,
typing skills
it
come
doesn't.
from.
It doesn't make any sense. He's kind
Is
of a
that even
moron.
English?
he's he's kind of a fucking moron. He's kind of a dumbass. He's just like he's built like that, I guess. I don't know if he's special. He thinks he's a special boy, but he's got some maybe mental issues. He's got some mental issues.
Yeah,
Puya on the Demon Slayer. I think his name's Puya. That's what I heard. His name's Puya.
like
I
his real
heard that's
name's
his real
Booyah.
name. Yeah, real name is
Yeah.
Puya. Pouya. Puya. I think that's his real name.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So
Well,
he
if you
doesn't
grew up
like
with a
it, but
name like that, you can imagine
yeah.
the amount of negative feedback you would get from society. You know, like nobody could
Puya.
take
Hit him with the Puya.
nobody could take you seriously.
No, I can't take him seriously. I can't take his stupid anonymous hacker Guy Fawkes mask seriously. His image, his fake AI voices. He can't reveal his first name, his face, his voice. He's just a little coward. Like he's a little coward that likes to sling things. Um, he's just a coward.
Well, you obviously got under his skin somehow
Oh yeah,
because he
yeah.
put like some serious fucking effort into the videos that he made, like the exposés that he made about you, like,
I
and
think he should work a lifetime, devote his life to me. I think he should do that. He doesn't have enough videos. Make more.
right.
I'm
Well,
glad for it. I'm glad for it. I hope he makes more. I hope he
well,
spends the next 20 years making videos about me while I'm
it's
doing other
fast.
things.
It's fascinating to me, like how he followed you over here too. Like, how would he even know about like my channel? I think maybe I left a comment on one of his
No,
videos in the
he's
past.
lurking. He's watching my channel, so he's probably
Oh,
seen me on your channel. He's seen me, and then he follows me around the internet. Whatever channels I watch or go on, he's like a stalker. He's like somebody that
okay.
tries to follow me wherever I go. He'll end up trying to follow me around.
Yeah,
Yes, make more videos.
that's
It's
almost
what?
like criminal level harassment, right? And like stalking.
Yeah, he calls me a cyber stalker, but that's what he is actually. He's
Yeah.
the one that does that. I don't follow anybody around.
Yeah,
So
if
he's
things were
everything that he
reversed, like
accuses.
if you were female, like that would not fly. Like people would be very, very sus of him doing
Some
that.
people think he is female. Some people think Demon Slayer is a female. They think it's a female stalking me. I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
if it's a man, but it's very weird. It might be intersex. It could be both. He might have a wee little penis or a clit that's a penis or something. I don't know. He could have
Right. Right. And it's
deformed
hard to
sex
say too,
organs.
like if he's never revealed anything about himself, like never been on camera and he's never like used his real voice, his or her. And I'm sorry if I'm misgendering you, Demon Slayer. Then
Well,
yeah,
doing a
it's
live
really hard
stream,
to
he can't
say.
use the AI, right? He can't program it, so he'd have to talk live and answer on the fly
Right.
questions and have a conversation. That's why he can't come on live because he's afraid that would expose his voice, and he just
Yeah.
can't do it. He's too much of a pussy.
Well, even yeah, with his typing skills, you can see that like even with like those years and years of stalking and obsessing over you, like still his presentation isn't very polished. I would be suspicious that the videos that he put on his channel, like if he even made them or if like he paid someone to help him or something, got some high school intern, to come over and help him slap that together.
Somebody in special ed might have helped him out, make him. I don't know.
Might
It's
have been like a
it's
school
possible.
project.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they're not very well done, and they're just using the same laughter memes. And I mean, it's just repetitive Groundhog Day on his channel. It's the same thing. You watch
Yeah,
one video, you've seen them all.
there's 10 of them working on a Commodore 64 trying to splice that shit together using dial up to get it on YouTube.
I would buy them new crash helmets if they need crash helmets and like those harness tethers so that they're tethered to playground equipment so they don't wander away and get lost.
Right.
I'll help them out. I'll help them out. Buy them some Kool-Aid packets, and you know, maybe some Legos, or what do they use? Not Legos, but those big blocks for the kids. Those great
Yeah,
big blocks that toddlers use, the oversized
right.
ones. Yeah, something. The Lego would be too complicated, I think, for Demon Slayer.
Off-brand Lego.
I don't think he. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he could build anything out of Lego. Maybe those great big wooden blocks that they have for like babies to stack up a few or something. He's kind of a infant,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well,
he's
yeah. You,
you know
you don't want to malign Lego. Lego's like, that's top quality product. That's
he
expensive. I
could
don't think
hurt
you could afford.
himself with that too,
Yeah,
or
the sharp
herself.
edges. Yeah, you
Sharp
couldn't
edges
afford.
that could be dangerous.
You couldn't afford that on a welfare salary.
He's one of those guys. I mean, I could buy him something, but he'd need safety scissors and like all the stuff for
Right.
little babies because he'd hurt himself otherwise. You can't give him
Sure.
any real materials. If you're going to give him a hammer, it'd have to be a baby's little plastic hammer or like a rubber mallet, but not a heavy one, a real light one, baby sized, and like the baby tools, the baby saw that really doesn't cut, and all the stuff that they give real little kids that want to be like their daddy. I'm like his
Yeah, yeah.
daddy. I
The
look up,
squeaky
he
the
looks up
squeaky
to me
hammer.
like I'm like his daddy. Yeah, squeaky hammer, exactly.
The
So
one
he
that
needs
squeaks
all
on
that
you.
stuff. And he needs the what's that set where they put you're supposed to put the round shape in the round hole
the,
in Idiocracy. He could have one of those maybe to work on and try to
right.
figure it out.
Well, yeah, and what he needs is regular diaper changes because that shit's got to be fucking uncomfortable sitting around in a poop-filled diaper all day long, man. Jesus
Pooyah! Give him the
Christ.
poo. Hit him with the
Booyah.
pooyah. Pooyah.
He's the
Pooyah.
demon slayer. No, I saw a good documentary on like KFC the other day. Was it KFC and KGC? The Knights of the Golden Circle. Have you seen this documentary? Are you familiar with the idea that everything with like a K is like a dog whistle to other companies? So there's Kool-Aid, like you mentioned Kool-Aid, and then KFC, and then there was like a dozen of them that are all related and connected via this thing called the Knights of the Golden Circle. Have you heard about this? I mean, YouTube recommends
No,
some of the craziest
no,
fucking conspiracy shit. Yeah, so I
no.
got into it. And it's
Everything
like
with
it's
a
a whole
K. What about Circle K, that convenience
yeah,
store?
Circle K,
Is
Crystal,
that involved?
Crystal Burger,
Crystal
White
Burger.
Castle.
I've never seen one of those.
Okay,
Wow.
it was
Crystal
all
Burger.
related. Yeah, Crystal, White Castle Burger, Crystal Burger, everything with a K. I forget exactly what it was all about. I just kind of watched it in passing. Sometimes Google recommends crazy shit. KGC tier list, KGC, the Knights of the
What about
Golden
the
Circle. Very,
KGB? The KGB. What
yeah,
about that? Was that involved?
very,
Uh,
very
y-
interesting. Wendy's,
should we?
Wendy's was included. Anything
Wendy's.
in red and white. Yeah, just look it up.
Oh, okay.
KGC
Eh,
versus KFC, uncovering the fast food conspiracy. That's the name of it. It's a 3-hour presentation. Yeah, if you just scroll over it, it's got like um I don't know if you can open it on your window and represent it, you could maybe show it because anytime I present on StreamYard, my fucking internet goes bananas.
KGC conspiracy.
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah,
Uncovering the fast
I'll try
food
to share it.
conspiracy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put
Really
it up.
off the
KGC.
wall, fucking crazy shit.
Knights of the Golden Circle. Here's the KGC.
Yeah, there it is. So what I learned about it, and again, I watched like a couple of documentaries. You get bored, hot summer days, on vacation, that kind of thing. But supposedly, all of these are connected by the same groups of individuals that were members of the KKK, and so they say this K branding in all of these things, and maybe better off looking it up on YouTube, and then you'll see the actual documentaries that cover it. But they had like an entire infographic of all the ones that are related via the K, and they make
Kanye.
Kanye West
There's
maybe
Kanye.
too.
There's Kanye's face. Kanye with the K. He comes up with the K. That's kind of
Sure.
funny. Oh man. Do you think that Demon Slayer could use some, not just Kool-Aid with the K, but coloring books, crayons, some Care Bears, maybe a blanket, a security blanket? Do you think he would
Yeah,
eat some toothpaste with some fluoride? Like, do you think he's a toothpaste eater? Part of the toothpaste eaters club.
Probably a Cabbage Patch doll with a K.
Cabbage Patch doll, yeah. Cabbage
Yeah,
Patch, yeah.
I think he's big time into that type of thing. I
Did
don't
you
know.
ever see
Demon
that
Slayer,
video of
he
Mind
seems like
Unveiled that did a video with the cabbage? They blame
yeah, yeah,
they claim,
yeah.
not blame, they claim that humans were from Cabbage Patches, and they think that Cabbage Patch dolls are representing what humans were, orphans
Yeah,
grown in cabbage patches.
that was pretty bananas. But Demon Slayer, he strikes me more of a guy that would have like a Barbie doll, and then kind of maybe, do naughty things with a Barbie doll. I think he would prefer that over a Cabbage Patch. But yeah, Mind Unveiled, they've done some interesting work. That whole rabbit hole, I don't really know like how serviceable it is, and like they
You
pulled up
don't
all
think
of
that
those.
you were a Cabbage Patch kid grown in a cabbage
I
patch field
kind of doubt
in
it.
China? They have cabbage.
Yeah.
Well, they have Chinese cabbage there, though, right? Don't they have different kind of
Um,
cabbage in China?
They do. They do. They've got some really bizarre cabbages over here.
Yeah.
The ones they make
Look,
kimchi out of in Korea. I mean, they don't make kimchi here in
I
China.
love kimchi though. That's good stuff. I like it.
Yeah, they make a similar type thing, like a pickled vegetable out of cabbage, but they have giant cabbage. Like our cabbages are smaller, rounder cabbages, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they actually call Western cabbage. They either call it Western cabbage or round cabbage, whereas like Chinese cabbage is giant and it all grows like it doesn't circle in. It grows more like a head of romaine lettuce, but like a meter
Really?
tall. Really,
Oh
really
shit.
big.
A meter. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
that is
huge.
giant compared to our cabbage.
Yeah, they blew my mind
Yeah.
when I first got here. Like it was still really old school in my neighborhood, and they packed cabbages in the stairwell during winter time because it's like always below zero, like all during winter. And so they would pack like 100 cabbages
Holy
on
shit.
every level of the stairwell, and it fucking stank so bad. It smelled like rotting cabbage all winter long, but it didn't
Oh
rot. I
no.
mean, I guess it was it was
Oh,
being preserved somehow.
I put it up on the screen. Giant cabbage,
Yeah,
Chinese cabbage. They even have a
that's it
fucking
right there.
monument to it on the right hand side on this Facebook post. Somebody's posing in front of a giant cabbage monument.
Yeah, they don't do it anymore. They kind of outlawed it in the city because it's just so fucking odorous and
Look at the size of that
obnoxious.
compared to that bus in the background in this
Yeah,
picture. I don't know if it's that's
yeah.
crazy. Holy shit.
I'm gonna have to visit that motherfucker. Yeah, that
Oh
looks like
man.
fun. The one in the guy's hand, that's a different kind of cabbage. That one's actually called small Chinese cabbage. That's xiaobaitai. Let me see
Oh,
if I can
okay.
find the bigger ones. You're not actually showing the really big ones. Yeah, maybe this one here where it says Chinese cabbage on YouTube. That's about the size of it. See how it goes from that guy's mid torso to above his head.
Oh,
I
this
guess it's
one.
not
Okay.
it's maybe
It
half
looks
a
more
meter.
it looks kind of it does kind of look a bit more like romaine than our
Right,
cabbage. It looks
right.
it looks like something that you'd put on like a sandwich or put in I don't know, it does kind of look like that. But it tastes
Yeah,
more
so
like cabbage, like raw
no,
cabbage
it's kind of
or
dank. Like it tastes more like a sour, I don't know, like sour sewage water or something. Imagine like 50 of those stacked up in your
oh,
stairwell, and you gotta walk by them all winter long.
oh damn.
Kind of an odorous thing. When you talk about the hell realm, I can imagine being surrounded by rotting cabbage all the time, backing up fucking sewage. And that was kind of the scene here. But
Rotting
luckily,
cabbage and toothpaste eaters like Demon Slayer, the incel. I mean, that would be true hell. Can you imagine the body odor stench of that guy or that
oh
thing, whatever
god,
he is? I don't know if it's a guy
um,
or a girl. It could be stanky pussy or something. I don't know. It might be
oh nasty, yeah.
might be just
Rot,
some rotten rotten
rotten
hooker.
cabbage puss.
Rotten.
Yeah, not any kind of fun. Yeah, but thankfully, like the city, and I think in part, like I don't know if this is. I mean, obviously, this is going to be a conspiracy theory, but I think part of it was like due to the fact that I gave a lot of pushback against these kinds of things in my local neighborhood. Like I would get active and go talk to like the community board and shit, and I'd be like, "Hey guys, like I go out and practice kung fu every morning in the courtyard, and like on Saturdays I'd walk around with like a pickup stick and pick up trash out of the yard and like throw it away because I wanted to have a clean place to practice kung fu in the morning." And I went to the community leaders and I'm like, you guys let this place just fall to shit. I'm like, look at all the trash in the yard and shit,
Oh,
and all these rotting cabbages. I'm like,
oh,
can't we, and me as a foreigner coming to them, they felt like it was a huge loss of face. I swear to God, the next year they remodeled the entire courtyard. They ripped out everything, put in all new stonework, all new paving, planted a garden, like put flowers out there and shit, and then like made a community ban on storing cabbage in the
oh, wow.
stairwell. Yeah,
They
and I don't know
banned
if it
it.
was yeah, I don't know if it was in response to me or not. I'm not going to be a
Yeah,
megalomaniac and
I
think
think
that
it
it was,
probably was, though. It probably was.
but
I
it did
mean,
happen, and like I
they
was
made it put a
really
ban
really
on it.
stoked by that. Yeah,
So they
I was
take
like, yeah,
they take it that seriously, and then if they have egg on their face, they're just like,
they
we have
do,
to. If
they
it's a
do.
foreigner, they're just like, hey, we gotta. Oh, good night.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, that's
like saving
crazy.
face is a really really big thing here, and understanding that culture
Culturally,
can,
or it's
yeah,
cultural
culturally,
thing. Then
yeah,
it's not a.
absolutely. Like nobody thought anything about it until somebody mentioned it, but then once someone mentioned it, they totally rectified it, which really gave me like, I don't know what, like hope or a little bit more confidence that things can, that you can affect change on a small level. At least, you go to the next complex over, they're probably still doing it, but at least
Oh,
here in my little
click
community.
to share this screen. I think maybe Demon Slayers. It shows him
Oh, did you
eating
find
some
them?
toothpaste. Yeah, I found him
Oh,
on the right side. That
okay,
cartoon
that's his
character. He's
picture.
squeezing a
Blue
tube. He's
hair.
eating it's fluoride. He's eating toothpaste. He's a
Yeah, I could see
toothpaste
that.
eater.
Yeah.
He
And
thinks it makes him smarter, but fluoride is
no,
neurotoxin. It's really not going to make you brighter.
you can see that kind of deer in the headlight look, just NPC'd out due to the effects of the neurotoxin. Which,
He
it's all fun and games to laugh about, but like it's kind of sad too. You have to, but it's not like nobody's ever warned him. You're warning him here now, and so next time he's in there brushing at his single tooth and kind of gumming, sucking on the toothbrush. That
squeezes you down his throat, trying to deep throat the tube, trying to just swallow the whole tube. I mean,
deep throating the toothpaste tube and then squeezing it out. That's probably not the best option.
he's squeezing and swallowing. He said, "Why did you stop calling yourself king? You can't even see that I'm calling myself King Stephen with a crown right on his screen. Like,
Yeah,
is
here
that stupid?" Like
let
he
me
said, "Why did you stop calling yourself king?" I've never stopped calling myself king. He's an
uh,
absolute fucking moron. It's right
let
on
me
his screen.
yeah, let me remind him here. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, this is the Sanity Machine with King Stephen here on the Frank Monday show. We're just hanging out on it's a Sunday for me. Is it Sunday yet there for you as well, or no?
Yes, it is Sunday here. It's
God,
Sunday, early
he's
in the morning.
machine gunning the ideas room too. I'm gonna end this matrix, he says.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if a
he's
dude in a
really
diaper
upset.
with a rattle and a pacifier in his mouth that can't even touch the floor with his feet and sucking on a fucking tube of toothpaste is really gonna affect any kind of change.
Yeah,
But
his
maybe
claim
he's
to
got
fame,
high hopes.
he's never come up with an idea in his life or any video of any content. He can't have a conversation. He can't do live streams. He can't have conversations with people. He's just stuck at such a low level. Like, oh man, imagine being at that level, just at a romper room level of being in a little safe space with coloring books and Kool-Aid and crayons and Care
And
Bears
then
and all that stuff. And
and the cognitive
pathetic.
dissonance of it all too, that he like has these really high hopes, like I'm going to take down King Stephen, in the Sanity Machine with my rhetoric. It's kind of a bananas proposition, but I whatever, some to each his own. He enjoys it, and for some reason, falling around on your coattails and trying to sling mud at you gives him some sense of joy. Like you said earlier, he's probably got squeezing his balls as hard as he can and just fucking swacking that thing with every comment, and that's probably what inhibits his typing skills so much. Is because it's really hard to type
Yeah.
with one hand.
His hand is a blur right now, and he's using chopsticks to whack himself off. He's hitting his little penis with a chopstick right now.
And he's choking himself with the leather belt that his dad left behind when his dad stepped out for a pack of cigarettes 20 years ago.
Oh man.
He's like, you
Oh, poor Demon
motherfucker,
Slayer.
I'm gonna strangle myself with this belt. How dare you leave me?
I have a theory that some of these incels, they get fucked up mentally by being an incel for decades, like being at least biological age. They're an adult. And he's never had sex, and I think it fucks them up. It fucks their mind up.
Well, you may have something there, and I can only speculate because again, like having been abroad for so long, there are a lot of terms that came into the local currency and the vernacular, like into the language pool, that I didn't really know. Like incel was not one of them. Like I mean, we grew up with computers. We didn't get home computers until like high school, right? So we were always outdoors and going surfing, riding BMX and skateboarding and stuff like this, and chasing tail, this kind of thing. So we didn't even really know what like an incel was until like Bill Gates, emerged from the closet of his whatever he had going on. And so that was like, what was that, like Generation Z or the millennials that really kind of embraced that whole culture? And I think that term probably came about. So like I learned it from the internet. I didn't know what an incel was, but yeah, it turns out that like there was this entire generation of people that kind of grew up subterranean in their mom's basement or whatever, and I don't know, kind of growing bitch tits and having the neck beard and jerking off to anime or whatever. Like I don't even get it. I didn't even really know about it. It just wasn't a part of my generation. So yeah,
I think that's his generation. I think that's a big part of his problem. He's been an incel for life. He's involuntary celibate. He's never had a girlfriend, and he's just fucked up. Like he's obsessed with me. He wants to be me. You'll never be me, dude. No matter how much you follow me around, it's never gonna happen. You'll always be a little pooyah incel loser.
Well, yeah, and you can kind of see the antithetical nature of his title as well, the Demon Slayer with the threes, right? Trying to encode the 33 there for us.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of an oxymoron when like you're coming from a realm of the demonic. He is a demon, and then he's saying that he's I don't know what it maybe the slay thing is like, you go queen, you slay. So maybe it's like a coded shout out to his trans nature. Maybe that's
maybe he has gay voice. Maybe he has trans gay voice. Maybe that's why he won't come on live and talk, because maybe his voice does sound that gay, and he's like, oh, I can't do that. It would ruin his whole image. Maybe that's part of it.
Right.
Wow.
Right. You would think too that like, I don't know, with the whole emergence of the LGBTQ and the rainbow flying proudly over many cities, it seems like he would be empowered to embrace that too, and then just go ahead and plunge through the fear of inhibition, and because it's really kind of a tragic thing that he's inept and immobilized by his fear of confronting you directly. Like I said earlier, the link is right there in the chat box. All he's got to do is plug that in, and Demon Slayer would be more than welcome to join the show and voice your opinion. And you could be heard, man. You could stand up and be heard and stop hiding behind the computer and hiding behind the curtain. We will not judge you if you're in a dirty diaper and you've got a rattle in one hand and your dick in the other hand, you're sucking on a pacifier and beating yourself in the face with a tube of fluoridated toothpaste. We're not going to hold any of that against you, man. We're going to give you a safe space to express yourself. So there it is there. And I'm only reaching out this once, Demon Slayer. Only this once.
Oh, he's too scared. Look at, he said, you are almost convincing me. One more push. Aw. Come on, little baby.
Yeah, you feel like the guy that's trying to lure out a little like malnourished, starving kitten on crack, and you're like, "Here, kitty, 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 it's okay to come out." The fuck. Sad. It's just sad.
Do you need a little toothpaste treat with some extra fluoride? He will give you a little treat. You can come suck on a tube of toothpaste. If you come on here live, I'll send you a care package with some toothpaste.
Yeah, I bet he gets that full tube and just slathers his fucking pacifier down with it before he shoves it in his gob. And he's the type of individual too that I'm sure like has an entire set of butt plugs, like starting with small and working all the way up to large. And so he's just grinding against that butt plug with his diaper on, just whining like a baby. Slap me again, mistress. You know, it's just
when he inserts the extra large butt plug, he's like, "Pooya, pooya, pooya." He's trying to get that up his butt. Pooya, pooya. Psyching himself up, saying his own name out loud.
Greasing it up with toothpaste. It's really sad. Let's see.
That's poor Demon Slayer.
Yeah, it's sad. But anyway, so yeah, the KFC, definitely check out that Knights of the Golden Circle thing. I thought that was fascinating. I don't know how much reality there is to it. I think there's probably just as much reality to that conspiracy theory as there is to us being Cabbage Patch Kids and being shipped in on orphan trains.
The Cabbage Patch ones, I like that one.
Cabbage Mind Patch. Unveiled.
Yeah. That was their best video. That was the funniest video that they've done, I think. The Cabbage Babies.
They didn't do just the one. They did like a year, like going on 2 years of videos just around that topic.
I wasn't even paying attention to how many they did, but damn.
Well, I am subbed because they did do a couple of good videos in the past, and I kind of like their presentation style. It's very, very polished, you know, unlike Demon Slayer over here. And you would think, again, if somebody's worked so long and hard, like how long has this guy been following you? For like 3 years or something, or longer?
It's been over a year for sure. I'm not sure how long it's been, but yeah, he's been following me around. I'm pretty much his whole life at this point.
Yeah, when I checked out his channel, it seemed like he had videos dating a couple of years back, or at least he'd been on YouTube that long. And like, again, the whole thing was, you know, basically focused on you.
Yep. Almost every single video that he's ever made. He came out of nowhere. He never made videos.
Yeah, so the Barbie. I imagine that he probably looks like this, like you know, a grown man, but then like looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid, and then he's got Barbie sitting there, and he's playing with Barbie's feet. Yeah, there's Barbie right there. So he's playing with Barbie. He's playing with Barbie's feet. He's got her just like that. I don't know if he would like if he would take his safety scissors and cut all her hair off, because sometimes they get mad and they're like angry at Barbie for being so pretty, and they cut all her hair off, and it's like, fuck, man. So his Barbie's probably in bad shape by this point. And the things that Barbie's been through with this cat, you know. God, poor Barbie. She got shoved up.
His voice is AI made. He can only use an AI voice.
Yeah.
I wonder what he thinks. I noticed that. Or what was it? The Garbage Pail Kids, I think.
Yeah, those are fascinating. Definitely. Insidious attacks on our culture. Yeah, it came with a stick of gum. 5 cards and a stick of gum. Yeah, these were popular when I was a kid in the 80s. They did a whole I think it was Hustler did like a whole kind of risque, pornographic. Hustler was not very pornographic. It wasn't like High Society or Cherry or anything like that. But like in degrees of wickedness, it went from Playboy. Playboy was like the least, and then Hustler was like the next level up, and then I don't know whatever was above that. But I think Hustler did like a whole parody of Cabbage Patch Kids, and so they had like Sloppy Sally or um, Blow Me Belinda or whatever. I don't know. Funny stuff though. Oh, now you see him. He's here. He's trying to shovel up old shit from the past and put old energy on a new man. Demon Slayer. I don't know if you get it or not, but on the Frank Monday channel, like we take it in the present, the moment of reality. The past does not equal the future. You know, if you're used to living in your diaper for the last 3 or 4 years and you really feel like you need a diaper change, get in a fresh diaper, Demon Slayer, and you feel like a new man. I guarantee it. So I'm not one to like dig up the past and constantly throw it at people. I think that's kind of lousy. But
He used to email me, and he was so boring. I just wouldn't respond. For
okay.
years, he kind of emailed me. He was obsessed even before he made videos. And then he'd say, "If I was a girl, you'd probably respond," and stuff like. It was really weird. It's like he had some weird crush on me or something. It's very, very strange. He's been a strange character for a long
Okay.
time.
Well, I get it. I mean, like you've done some pretty high level work yourself. Like you have your whole Esoterica series, which is very enlightening. And then if I'm not wrong, not mistaken, I think that you've done the YouTube thing for a while, right? Like you've done a couple of different channels, and you know, YouTube, they're a bit of Karens over there, kind of nitpicking. They shut people down for just about anything and everything these days. So I think you were kind of poking holes in the matrix, and that upset them. And then so the Sanity Machine, that's your most recent endeavor. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, it's the original, but I lost a couple channels that I had set up as backup channels, but they had unique content. It wasn't just backup videos of content on my main channel. So they got taken down. But yeah,
Okay.
there's Karens like Demon Slayer. There's ones like that. They're against free speech. Um they're
Having
against
fun.
anything that's, yeah, having fun, laughter. I mean, he's like, he wants to be the laughter police. He wants to control if somebody can laugh at jokes or
Right.
laugh at whatever. He probably thinks, well, they said KFC earlier. They're racist because they said something about black people liking KFC. Well,
Shopping for
it's a
watermelons.
reality. It's a reality. I mean, do Chinese people use chopsticks? Yeah, they do. So that's not racist to mention
Right.
reality.
It's just
Reality is not
factual
racist.
reality. Yeah.
It's just a fact. It's like
Yeah.
saying, do Irish people like a good whiskey or a good Irish, get, whether it's a Guinness or Kilkenny or the Jameson whiskey, or do Irish people like a good meat pie? Yeah, they do. They generally
Right.
do. They
Yeah, mash
generally
and
do.
pie. That was one of their
So
signature dishes when I went over there. I was in Dublin last year and London as well. And fish and chips, it's ubiquitous. A Newcastle brown ale.
yep,
Yeah, they're
yep.
really big on. In fact, there was an Irish guy, a really great guy, an artist who lived here in Beijing for a while. I'm not even sure if he still lives here. But he did a lot of art, and he actually started a business of making meat pies. And he made meat pies, and he froze them and sold them, and people loved them. Like all the foreigners over here bought his meat pies. They were
Oh, they're
wonderful. I had a couple of
delicious. I
them.
bet they're delicious. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, well, like, is it racist then when somebody says about Irish people or what Brits like bangers and mash and fish and chips, good old English fish and chips? Like, they do like that. Maybe there's a couple people that are British that don't, but for the most part, they love going to their fish and chip places. They call it takeaway. They don't call it takeout or carry out. They call it takeaway. They call it their fish and chip takeaway. And yeah, I mean, they make it in a special way, and they have their way of making it. And people, what do you like? It's just what I'm getting at is, why is it always one way? And I've never heard anybody say that's racist to say English people like fish and chips, or it's racist to say that Irish people like potatoes or Irish whiskey. But these idiots, like this creature in the chat, they always try to spin things that way, and only a moron would believe it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's
Stay home,
fascinating
save
to me.
lives. What
And
is he talking about?
The Chinese, like, they don't shirk from it at all over here in Chinese society. Like, they're the stereotypes. It helps people like make generalizations or to get a handle on things. So it's kind of a boiling down and a distilling of parts of the culture that make sense to them. Like, they have tons of stereotypes that surround Westerners, and then they try to distinguish between each set of Westerners too. Like, they're going to have different stereotypes for the French, or Spaniards or Italians or Germans. Like, one of the things I found being a Caucasian and being over here is that I'm more apt, like, if I know a speaker here, a Chinese person, is like, they don't have any real understanding of like international culture. They don't speak English, for example. If I'm fairly confident I'm meeting with someone that doesn't speak a second language, and they ask me, where are you from? Because they ask every single time. They want to know. It's a natural human curiosity. And so I'll always, rather than saying I'm American, because that's a little bit controversial, and it's, like a taxi cab driver, someone in a clerk in a store or something like this, I'll always just say I'm German. It's an easy fallback because the older, and of course it has to do with the person's age too, but like the middle-aged Chinese folks here in this society have a really, really high opinion of the German culture. There was a huge influence from lots of car manufacturers and Siemens products, refrigerators and stoves, and they just think that the Germans had the height of scientific engineering. And so whenever if you say you're German, then they always like immediately reflect on you with a high level of respect. They'll be like, oh yeah, wow, Germany's wonderful, we love Germany, the engineering's number one, this kind of thing. If I say I'm American, they always want to get into controversial political shit, and so it's just, everyone does it. It's not limited to one race, culture, or creed, or area. It's like, it's universal.
Well, that's interesting. What do they do with the ones that are heavily disabled and mental, like Demon Slayer? Do they just kind of lock them up somewhere and keep
They
them out of
do, in
sight?
fact. It's interesting that you should bring that up, but like, I've told you that the city I live in, Old Peking, is kind of the flagship for the whole country, the cultural flagship, and then Shanghai is like the commerce flagship. But yeah, like, there's no one of that nature at all. There's like a minimum IQ level to even live here, I think. And then anyone that might kind of fall below the level of normalcy that they uphold, it's, because it's, what was the word? I can't even remember it now. It's like Potomac Village or whatever, where they show this really nice front to visitors. Like, there's no wheelchair access. There's nobody in wheelchairs. There's nobody on crutches. There's nobody with a fucking eye patch. Anybody that doesn't have 4 working limbs and a fully functioning mind is not allowed to live here. So any of that type of person, I mean, in the West, we kind of, diversity is strength. They embrace it, and they make everything wheelchair accessible and handicapped available and easygoing for that kind of thing. But none of that exists here. It's not present at all. So I guess there's probably camps outside the city or something. I don't know.
Oh wow!
But
Oh wow!
I don't think, if Demon Slayer lived here, he probably would not be allowed internet access. That would be my guess.
I wonder if they'd say to him he needs a lobotomy, or if they just assume he's already been lobotomized. I'm not sure what they would do with them. Maybe they'd test him. or
I
something.
don't
Check him
know.
out.
Like I said, I don't think he would be here in the flagship city. But yeah, so some of the even when you go out into the countryside and like you visit and travel and stuff like that, even the second tier cities, they have the same type of situation. Like if you're visiting, say for example, a different state, you guys have provinces and states, right? In the US we have states, and other places they have provinces. So
Yeah.
here they also call them provinces. Then you'll visit like their flagship city of whatever province you go to, and then there'll be tourist attractions. And as far as I can tell, none of those people are allowed to like really hang out in polite society, which I find a little bit baffling. It's one of the cultural shocks that I experienced, like never being able to see a disabled person or a retarded person. It's like, because in LA, you grow up with them, they're all around you, it's like, you got to help them out, they're part of the community.
I wonder what the family, if they were giving birth to a retarded person like Demon Slayer, how the mother and father would handle it, like how they would react to. Would it be
Ooh, I think that,
shameful, or what would they do? Like,
yeah, I think that would be really, really tough on the family. They would probably be ostracized. Like the whole family's social credit score would probably go down. They might lose their jobs. I don't know. They'd probably be relocated to somewhere else. I don't know, man. Because it's not like it's not happening. We've got some of the highest levels of pollution. In fact, I think our city, like just prior to the Olympics, reached like the Economist magazine did like a top 10 most polluted cities in the world, and I think like Beijing and New Delhi were competing for number one at that time. I think Beijing's now dropped out of the top 10, but if there was a time when I first got here when it was right up there with the heaviest levels of air pollution and so on.
yeah, for air pollution, I wonder what. I think with certain types like Demon Slayer, they might have heavy metal contamination, like their bodies might be toxic from.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I might have
all that
actually
kind of stuff.
mentioned that to you in the past. I don't know if I did or not, but I had a student. I was doing a corporate training thing, and I had a student who was like, he was a doctor with the local CDC, and he loved to talk to me and talk shit all the time, like on social media, like on instant messaging. And this was before there was too much oversight on instant messaging, but he was always like posting stuff, and I'm like, I told him one time, I said, with your position and your level of prestige, I said, don't you think it's dangerous that you're posting some of this negative feedback, like, the AQI meters, and like talking about the repercussions of these types of things, like on our, like, on our health and stuff. And he used to say to me, he said, if we don't do something quick, we're all going to be dead in 10 years. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? And he's like, the level of heavy metal poisoning in our atmosphere that we're subjected to here, he said, we're all going to be fucking dead in 10 years. And this is like 20 years ago. And I said, man, you probably shouldn't say that kind of thing on social media. And yeah, because he's a high level doctor, like CDC level stuff. But they made course correction, and the situation has improved. But another thing he said we're probably all legally insane. I was like, wow, that's really reassuring. Thanks for telling me that. Yeah, he's like, we're all fucked, man. It's like, what do you mean we're legally sane? He's like, well, you're still living here, aren't you? Yeah, but I never let it worry me. What is that famous meme of the dog at the kitchen table and like the entire house is on fire and he's like, everything's fine. Yeah, that was me for years. But thankfully the Olympics, man, we had to clean up our act for the Olympics back in 2008. What do you think about what's going on in the Olympics right now? I heard like some dude that's sporting a schlong and pretending to be a girl, like wearing a skirt, beat up a girl in like women's boxing or something, like nearly killed her. Did you hear about that story?
No, I didn't. I haven't been really following the Olympics, but I'm
No,
not
neither have
surprised.
I.
I mean, I'm not surprised that that's going on. That's what people wanted. That's what people supported. All this agenda. I'm not saying everyone did, but a whole lot of people did for years. So this is what they end up with.
Yeah, they let some girly dude, like some dude with a cock and balls, put on a dress and lipstick, and went in there and nearly killed like the top Golden Gloves competitor or something. I just heard peripherally about it. I didn't read the news story myself, but I thought, wow, man, that's vicious. Like you
You
can't
know what's
let
interesting
dudes
though? No, you shouldn't. I agree. But you
you
know
can't
what's
let dudes in
interesting is
women's
that
sports.
but they took away all the male spaces for years, for decades. Girls were allowed to
Right,
join boys hockey. This didn't just start overnight. This has been a long, decades long push towards this, where boys used to be boys teams and boys scouts, but then they said you got
right,
to let girls in. You got to let girls in. So there are no male spaces left. And now all of a sudden it's an issue just because males or trans are invading women's and girls sports. But the other reverse already happened long ago. There's not a boys soccer team in Canada or a hockey team that doesn't allow girls or wasn't forced to allow that decades ago. We'll go back to the 80s. I remember hearing that as a
wow,
kid and thinking, damn, they're letting girls join just and they'll sue if they don't. So then they got rid of boys only schools, boys only clubs, men's gentlemen's clubs like cigar smoking clubs or any social clubs, gyms that were
right,
male only. There's women's gyms, there's women only gyms, there's women only everything, but there's
right.
nothing male only anymore anywhere. They've
I
made
guess
that so that they can invade anything.
I guess
So
that's why
it's
so many dudes are trying to put on a skirt and infiltrate the ladies' spaces.
well, I just find
Seems
it
weird,
interesting
huh?
where women only were opposed to this once it invaded their spaces, where for decades they were
Mm.
pushing for their daughters and girls to go into everything that's for boys and men. They were
Yeah,
trying to let girls into the NBA and into NFL, and
right,
they had some as kickers, and it's everywhere. But then the reverse, it's just like, hold on a second, they can't compete against us, but they've been saying
right.
they're equal for decades.
It's
Are
very
they
it's
equal to us, or what
it's
is it?
very hypocritical. Like
Yeah, it
imagine
is.
the whole same thing with the white black dichotomy as well. Like you can't have any all white spaces anymore, but you can definitely have the black entertainment network, the BET or whatever you like. Uh, the guy Trump running for president, Donald Trump, he went on an all black news journalist show the other day, and it's like, what if we had an all white news journalism? It's so hypocritical. You can't go the other direction. It seems like in the last couple of decades, the white male heterosexual has become the greatest villain. In fact, the FBI labels white males, white male heterosexuals as the greatest threat to democracy or something, or the
Yeah,
greatest terror risk.
yeah. I mean, there's also even contests for there's clubs and contests for, let's say, black people. There's a black caucus in the U.S. Congress. I'm not an American, but I'm aware of this stuff. They have a black caucus.
Right,
There's contests for women only artists where only women can join and are eligible to win a prize, or there's scholarships for women only. Where's the white men only anything? You know what I'm saying? Where's men only or white men only? I mean, they'd say immediately, well, that's racist. White people are racist. But the other way, it's always fine, whether it's Asian caucus, Hispanic, Black caucus, groups
right.
just for Hispanics, organizations just for Hispanics, just for Black people, just for Asian Americans. You can't have white American anything, or white
Yeah,
Canadian anything,
and
or white man anything.
even when they exclude whites, like recently there was, I don't know, I think it was the Democratic National Committee or something like that. One of those groups recently had an event where they said, it only for people of color, that whites were just not welcome at all. Yeah, so it really seems like a whole reversing, and I don't even know if it's reversing. Like I look at old 1900s black and white footage and stuff, and I see like colored folks cruising around, Indian folks, and they seem to have like a high level of honor and like integration, and nobody looks at them. Like I've seen black and white footage from the 1900s when, you know, cameras were first, motion picture cameras were still, you know, still silent and that kind of thing. But like you'll see black folks cruising among among throngs of white folks, and it's like it's totally normal. They don't even look at him like he's an outsider. And I think some of this this racist rhetoric of the past, like this vilification of the white man, I think a lot of it is probably highly overblown, and just don't believe the hype. You know, there are plenty of black slave owners, Indian slave owners. Like this new woman, Beijing Biden's vice president. She's running for, you know, for presidential election this year in the U.S. And her father was like her father or her grandfather was a slave owner, and now she's wearing blackface, and she never even grew up black. She grew up Indian. So it's very strange to me.
Yeah, she's not Negro. She's supposedly Indian. She gave blowjobs earlier in her political career to advance herself. But you're right on target when you said about the slaves and how Indians owned slaves, black people owned slaves, all different types of people had slaves. Tribes enslaved them each other tribes as what they call natives. They're not really natives, but before white men ever settled in America as pioneers, there was slavery in America with just Indian tribes like Comanche and Apache would enslave other tribes. They were known for this. There's always been slavery, so we didn't invent slavery. I mean, it's ridiculous the way that they spin this shit and vilify us. Just like in the 50s, right? You look at the old ads or where it's like the man husband spanking the wife or something. People look at that or a TV show and go, well, that's the way it was in the 50s. Men were just sexist and men ruled their. It wasn't that way. That's the fucking ads, just like funny commercials today or funny ads or stupid ones or ones that are not accurate these days. You can't judge the past by these fucking stupid ads. If somebody's spanking their wife saying you didn't have a hot dinner ready, feminists try to let on that we were that way, and it's just bullshit.
Yeah, and most of this Madison Avenue advertising, like if you watched the television show Mad Men, it turns out a lot of these guys were homosexuals, and they were trying to vilify the nuclear family, and that was a part of it. It was a part of their strategy. You know, we portrayed in a certain light, you know, that the father's an alcoholic and he comes home and he beats the children and the wife, and this is one tactic.
And men are bad. White men are bad. This has been a message in advertising for many decades. Just like with feminists saying, well, they're a bunch of man-hating lesbians talking to straight white women, convincing them that men are bad. They've been doing that for forever, like a century now. They've been doing that campaign, and it's been working. It's working more these days than it ever did, though. The man hatred in Canada and America is just open.
In Western culture for over a decade now, at least 15 years, you can't even see an advertisement. I don't even think on Google, you can't even look it up. You can't find a Caucasian family anymore portrayed. It's always got to be a black man with a white woman, and it's 90% that way. It's almost never like, you seldom see like a colored woman with a white man, though they do that as well, but it's almost always a black male with a white female. That's like
usually a blonde, black and blonde, quite often.
Over a decade, they've been pushing that.
Yep, and that's like, true. And it's usually a blonde, though, right?
Yeah, and that's so rare. Like if you look into any Western society, well, it was before they started promoting it, but that was like the rarest thing you would ever encounter. It just statistically, no one with any type of education would choose that type of alignment.
Exactly. And also one of the rarest things is for a white man to rape a black woman. That's statistically almost zero. But the other way, black men raping white women is tens of thousands per year in America every year. So there's a huge difference there. In the population number, there's far less black men than white men. But the criminality difference is huge, which most people don't look into. Or if they hear it said, they won't double check it because they just think, well, it's racist. He said something that racist. Statistics aren't racist. Crime stats aren't racist. I mean, this is the level that we've gotten to here. It's pathetic, you know, in the West.
Yeah, it is. It's very challenging. In fact, like I went back to LA in 2019, I believe, right before the whole shit show. But I spent about 6 months trying to find a job, and I had interviewers like look in my face. Like I'd show up with my resume, and I'm yeah, because I work in education, so I was trying to find a job in like either high school or corporate education, something like that, because that's most of my experience working as a teacher. I mean, just to say it plainly. But I would have like colored gals, that do the interview and that work in HR, and they would look at me and they'd be like, "Are you serious? Like you're trying to find a job in this city?" And I'm like, "Well, why? What do you mean?" And they're like, they just said it openly. You're a you're a white man. Nobody's going to give you a job. And like, just tell me straight to my face, we have no job for you. And I'm like, why? I'm like, my all my qualifications are in order. I've got a rich experience. I'm a motivated educator. And they're like, you're a white dude. You're fucking done. And I was like, wow, just wow. Like they weren't even subtle about it at all, just totally overt. And so I backed off on the idea of moving back to LA because I was trying to take my family back to LA. And I thought,
Oh
no, I
wow.
guess, yeah, it just ain't gonna fucking happen.
Well, it's getting to be more open even beyond LA, at least in Canada, but in certain US states as well, where they'll put who they want to hire. Like preferably they'll say women of color, preferably they're looking for to fill quotas basically. It's like quota hiring at this point. It's not merit based, experience based, who's most qualified. And it's going right up to like airline pilots and surgeons and shit like that. I mean, you're going to have complete disasters where these people that are the least qualified get hired because they're, a disabled black woman or something, and rather than a skilled white man that's been a pilot in the military that could land a commercial airliner like an American Airlines on a fucking river if it was an emergency. You're not going to have that anymore. You're not going to have the most skilled people at the wheel of planes and doing surgeries. You're going to have fucking diversity hires just like you have at going to Yale and Harvard and Princeton, where there's certain people, we'll put it that way, getting the spots as students, and they're out scored by Asians by 300 SAT points, and they get the spot rather than the student that scored 300 points higher on the tests in high school to get in. They don't get in. The person with the lower score gets in based on their race and the hierarchy, the feminist kind of hierarchy. And it is feminism and Marxism at play here, where it's like they have a hierarchy of who's the most oppressed and who should get boosted up and who should get knocked down based on what you are.
Right. And we saw how that worked out in the Secret Service just recently. Like the top of the organization is basically a diversity hire, and then he was surrounded by diversity hires when he got shot at. It's like, how do you think that whole thing fell apart? You put a whammon of power into the key position where things are critical, where you need that kind of logical, analytical, even might I say, like, just men take it so much differently. Like women haven't been raised in that type of environment. And maybe that's a little bit sexist, but it's just the way things are. Like we as gentlemen, we're taught you never raise your hand to a woman, but men will get into scraps in the schoolyard. There'll be a bit of fisticuffs after school or whatever if you got a problem with another dude. But this type of thing is never really encouraged among females. So they don't get it. They're not on the alert for
Yeah,
potential attacks and stuff.
that's true. They're
And
not defenders. They're not protectors. They're not natural protectors. Even not just like it's biological. Even without boys being taught to do certain things, they automatically know to do certain things as young boys. Nobody taught me, hey, Steven, you should be interested in guns and be playing cowboy and having like a holster with pistols, and nobody mentioned that. I was just into that automatically being a little
right,
boy when I was
right,
young. I was just nobody said, "Hey, you should be into this." Like it wasn't taught. It's genetic. I think it's just biology. A lot of this
yeah.
stuff.
And
Boys will
experiential evidence
if you
plays
don't give them
out.
a gun, if you don't give them a toy gun or a knife or something, boys will make them out of something that they have out of wood, or they'll make it out of something. They'll make weapons. Like we're naturally that way. Even if you
Right.
had, let's say, a soy boy father that doesn't teach you this stuff and is completely not masculine, if he has a son and his son is a little bit different than the father genetically, or just, isn't totally influenced, the son will naturally be into playing soldiers and cowboys and Indians and
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
we grew up with.
They're
It just
naturally
comes
inclined to do
naturally.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can give you a clear example here in China. My wife is Chinese, and we've raised two children. I've got both a daughter and a son, and they have a tradition like around the 100-day mark of the child after they're born, when they're about 100 days old, like 3 months or so, maybe close to four, maybe 4 or 5 something months, something like that. But anyway, they have this tradition where they put the baby on a table, and they put them on a big round table right in the middle of the table, and they surround the child with different things for aspects of what they think are the potential career path of the child. And so they'll set out, like, one thing we set out was like colored markers. We set out a stack of money. We set out like a little baseball bat, and like a Chinese calligraphy brush, and like a little wooden sword or something like that. We set all these different things around them, like a book. One thing was a book, like if they want to be a scholar. And then you put the baby there and you make sure they're aware of all the things around them, and you see where they are naturally gravitate to. Like, what do they try to run and grab, or crawl rather, because they're crawling on a table. But when we did it with my daughter, she immediately focused in on like these colorful markers. And so we had like this little art section that had colorful markers and crayons and stuff like that. And she just immediately went over there, wouldn't look at anything else. Even if you try to turn her towards the money or turn her towards the book or whatever, she wasn't having it. She wanted the colorful markers. Okay. And so she went, she grabbed there and she started scribbling with them or whatever. And we thought, okay, she's got some artistic inclination, right? And then we did it with my son. My son was born second. We did it with my son. We put him on the table, surrounded him with the same type of items, a book, a scholarly brush, whatever. First thing he does is grab a ball, a bat and a ball. He runs over and he grabs something that like is a stick with one hand, and then grabs a ball with the other hand and wants to fucking play ball. And immediately he's just swinging the stick, yelling gong. Like that was his first word, was gong. It means work essentially in the Chinese language, but it just shows like even their natural inclination as an infant that hasn't learned anything yet. Like they gravitate towards certain things. So that was
Yes.
fascinating to me.
That is fascinating. And the feminists they try to argue that it's all nurture. Some of them even go so far as to say that boys get fed more and taught to work out, that girls would be as muscular and strong as men if if they were raised the same way and given the same food. They claim that the difference in strength between men and women is the way that we're raised and not biology. That's how fucked up a lot of feminists are.
Yeah, and I think they're wrong. I mean, from my own experiential evidence, like raising these two children, a boy and a girl, my girl has never shown any inclination to be interested in anything masculine, like firearms or like boy sports or anything like that. She just has zero inclination towards it. I could be cleaning my guns in front of her or whatever, or put those things directly in front of her, and she has zero interest and never has from like an infant. And then my son, absolute opposite, right? Always grabbing my wooden swords, always trying to figure out, hey dad, where are the guns hidden? This kind of thing. He's just always had an inclination to it. He wants to play video games, like GTA and whatever, the shooting games and stuff like that. I don't even keep up with it, but Counter-Strike and this kind of thing. He gravitates towards it immediately. Like you give them both a laptop or whatever, he's going to play those types of games. He's just going to. And my daughter, she won't. She'll get on social media. She does art and stuff like that. It's just, and these, again, we notice these inclinations in them from infants, from like 3-4 months old, when we did those tests on them, which I think is a very fascinating thing about the Chinese culture, that they do that. And yeah, but just growing up with them, it's so obvious. It's like night and day. And again, you're going to have more masculine girls that are going to grow up more like a tomboy or whatever, and then you'll have more effeminate men. That, of course, that's going to happen as well. But that type of thing is a rarity. It's not the rule. It's the exception to the rule.
Yep. And that's where they try to warp things, is looking at the exception. Same with the trans agenda. They'll point to a few people and say, well, that's another gender. It isn't. It's the complete exception. Also, like, they've done studies on little children with trucks and given them the opportunity to play with trucks or Barbie dolls, boys and girls. One group, it's all boys, one group, all girls. And they always choose based on their gender. Nobody's telling them to play with these and leave the Barbies alone, and the boys just gravitate to playing with the trucks. Play with the trucks, like the big Tonka trucks that you can roll, like the ones that I grew up with as a kid that were, I don't know, like bigger than a laptop in size, and you could just move them around, like run around with them, drive around with them, and stuff like that,
Right, right.
pushing
Yeah, I
them
remember
around. And
those.
yeah, those like stuff like that, and the boys would be smashing the trucks into each other and playing rough, and the girls would be like playing Barbie dolls and playing house with them and talking to each other and socializing, each little holding a Barbie, and their Barbie would be talking to another one. It's just entirely different. And these were very young children. Nobody told them what to do. They've had, hidden cameras during these experiments, science experiments, to see what would happen. And that's the way it is. Like, human behavior is different. It's man-hating feminists that just can't accept that we're different.
Right, right. And
To
they
them,
say they
difference
say
is all,
yeah,
go ahead.
they're trying to claim these days that it's a arbitrary social construct, but it's not. The social construct is following the intrinsic nature of the thing. Like I was saying with my kids, even if you tried to force them away from those things at a very, very, very small age, they weren't having it. It's like I go over and stuff a Barbie doll in my son's hand or something. He's like, fuck this. He's going to throw it away or start whacking a ball with it. It's not something they're inclined to do, and thus we have these social constructs they're the afterthought of these of people following their intrinsic natures. And again, like you said, those other things have always been queer, right? They're unusual, strange, they're the exception to the norm. We have societal
Yes.
norms, and those societal norms are built on natural law. They're built on how we naturally gravitate towards certain behaviors. It's not the other way around. People didn't get around and say, "Hey, we need to make these social constructs this way or that way in order to, make this a masculine category and this a feminine category." No, it's a natural phenomenon. You see it in the animal kingdom as well. Women are nesting. They create nests and they nurture, and then men are the go getters. They get out there and they fucking hunt and drag back. Certain species do have some deviation on that, like the lion with his pride, but almost all other creatures, it's the normal behavior, this type of genderification.
Yes.
So yeah,
Well, the
we
lion
can't
with
be
his pride, though,
gaslit. Yeah, the
the the
lion,
the
he's a big old
lion will
badass.
he will eat the if he kills the top one of the pride, he'll eat that one's children, and then he'll make his own children. Women generally, like the female generally doesn't do that, at least with lions.
Yeah,
The
that's
male will eat the
savage.
offspring of it's savage, but they'll eat the young of the one that they killed right after they get rid of them, because they know that those boys saw that their offspring will grow up probably to get them, so they take away the threat. Nature's
Right,
fucking
right.
brutal. But what I want to get at too is they tried experiments with toys. Even they tried to push dolls onto boys in the 70s. They tried to push more masculine things onto girls, and even if it was bought, they weren't played with. So then parents took the hint. These feminist parents that influenced by 1960s and 70s en masse by the millions, if they bought certain things, would take the hint. Well, my child ignores this. I wasted my money buying this. They don't play with it, and they took the hint. I'm not going to buy another toy that's for the opposite gender, even if it's advertised and pushed. Because boys were never saying, "Mom, can I get this doll?" But it was pushed onto boys, and then girls. There were certain masculine things, and girls preferred like easy bake ovens and Cabbage Patch dolls and Barbie dolls. And when they tried to force
Right.
them into more masculine things like a science set or something, they weren't big sellers, and they would sit and collect dust. So parents only took the hint, financially speaking, thinking I wasted my fucking money on that because I bought something for my girl, my daughter, and she never uses it. She just prefers the Cabbage Patch doll. She's not playing with the fucking chemistry set, uh, microscope, or she's not doing experiments. She's not scientific. She's playing house with dolls. That's what she's choosing when she has the stuff. So that's the thing. They tried this. They forced things onto people, and
Yeah,
the some of
yeah.
the stuff would sit in the closet or in a shelf somewhere, and it would just
Well,
go unused.
I can even remember in middle school, like when you go from primary school to middle school in the US, like your seventh grade years, the first year you have the opportunity to choose elective courses. And I remember an experience I had. I saw that there was a home ec course and I didn't know what it was. And so and everyone told me it was easy, but they said that no boys ever chose that class. And I'm like, well, why not? And they're like, well, because you learn homemaking skills. It's for girls. And I thought, well, fuck, if it's going to be an easy A, then I'll go ahead and take it. And so I took the home ec course, and like I was like, like a weirdo, like I had a third eye or something when I stepped in there. It was all young girls, and they're all looking at me like I'm a fucking weirdo. And they're like, this is a class for girls. And I'm like, well, couldn't I choose it? I think I like had gotten chosen out of all the other courses, like they just weren't available anymore because I was late to choosing my classes or something. And so I spent one semester in a home ec course with all the girls. And yeah, they had their easy bake ovens. They're learning to use an oven. They're learning to sweep and mop the floor. And I mean, it may seem somewhat demeaning, but they loved it, and they were right at home and they could sit around and have tea time and chat. And they were doing sewing projects and all of this. And I couldn't fit in, I couldn't learn how to really use a sewing machine or concentrate on any of that. But I did make it through the course. And so I did have the experience. But I thought, good God, like if gender studies becomes an entire major in university, like how far have we declined? And when like men are signing up willingly for this kind of thing. But I did learn some decent skills, and I had some fun experiences. And I was the only boy in an all girls class, but it worked out in the end. I ended up having fun.
Interesting. That is kind
But
of
it shows the
interesting.
huge divide between those things. Like, no dudes are going to do it. Like, why would you choose that when you could choose baseball or wrestling? Or we even had a surf team, so it's like, why would you waste that opportunity to do something that's, physically active and just sit around with gals sewing skirts? But I did end up in a home ec class, so I did get some hands-on experience with that. Yeah. So, well, the world's in chaos. Black is white, white is black, and up is down, and all of that, and inside and outside, and they're reversing all the roles and usurping all of the inherently useful hierarchies and trying to supplant them with these newfangled. Their DEI is their catchphrase, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusivity, which so far hasn't caught on over here yet in the old kingdom. They're still delineating things by very clear, distinct, male and female type attributes. They did do this during the revolution, so it is kind of a Maoist ideology that women support half of heaven or whatever, and that was used as a tool because they wanted to mobilize the women into a fighting role as well during that time in their history. But it's not a long standing tradition, and it's not something that's ever really been embraced. In fact, now that they have an aging population and they're looking to rebolster, rehabilitate the family unit, which they've never really lost. It's always been kind of extended family type situation over here, but they're really working hard to promote the idea of people getting married younger and having more children now, because they're, I mean, what societies at large, if they don't do that, then they need to, or they feel the pressure to have more immigration from other countries to fill those roles of labor forces. But yeah, they repealed the one child policy, and then they started promoting have a second child, and now the big catchphrase is to have three children. That if you have three children, you're helping replace the population and you're really making a contribution in society, which
Oh,
I don't know.
wow.
I mean, yeah, it's totally different. And they're giving benefits too. Like it would just 20 years ago, if you had a second child, you would be fined and taxed. It was like something like 400,000 RMB, which is approximately 100,000 US, or about 80,000, 60 to 80,000. But that's like essentially a common laborer. That's their life's wages. if you had a second child. But now it's just the opposite. They're giving you tax breaks and tax incentives and additional money if you have more than one child.
Oh wow. What do they call the women? Something like leftover women. What's the Chinese word
Yeah.
for it when they grow old maids and they're not married, no kids?
Yeah. The expression in Chinese, it's a little more eloquent, I guess, or a little more crass. But when you have leftover food at the restaurant, that's called sheng fan. So sheng means like leftover, and fan means food. So leftover food. And when you have a woman who's past 30, then she becomes what's even late 20s. They start to turn into what's called a sheng nu, or leftover woman, like leftover food. So yeah, if they're not hitched, then they've kind of failed their family, and that they're, the whole family puts pressure on them to follow that model of getting married and having children. Because grandchildren are seen as the continuation of the genetic line, and as a result, that's the greatest treasure in a Chinese family is the grandchildren. And in
Oh
fact, they have
wow.
all kind yeah, they have all kinds of terms for grandchildren, like they call them little emperors, and they and it's really ingrained in them too that it's reincarnation, because they call them little ancestors. They say that the grandchildren are like the great grandchildren being reborn into the world. And so I remember when my kids were first growing up and they were toddlers and they were running around, everyone in the family, because my wife has a very extensive Chinese family, and so we're interacting with all of them. They always called them Xiao Zuzong. And I was like, well, I knew Xiao means little or small. And I was like, what is Zuzong? And so I looked it up in the dictionary. I couldn't get a good translation from them. And it directly translates as little ancestor.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was fascinating. And then when I discussed it more with them, I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, these are the spirits of our ancestors being reborn through our children.
Oh, they literally believe that.
Yeah, and this is coming from an entire a couple of generations of society that's been raised 100% atheistic. Like during the revolution, they were taught that there was no God and that religion was poison. But because Chinese has such a long spiritual tradition, it's like, you know, close to 5,000 years or whatever of these spiritual beliefs. And, they called them superstitions or whatever. It's not something they're going to easily forget, no matter how much you try to reprogram them. So they have very, very deep seated spiritual beliefs. And again, like what a scientific mind would call superstitions. Like my wife, she was raised entirely in a system devoid of any type of religion or spirituality or belief in God. You put all of your belief in the state, you don't put any belief in God. That is a taboo expression here. But she has like tons of things that I'll be like, what are you talking about with this? Why can't we do this? Or why can't we do that? She's like, well, that might offend our ancestors, or it might offend the God of the kitchen, or it might offend, the great God or something like that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Aren't you an atheist? She's like, yeah, well, I might have been taught to be an atheist. She's like, but there's just certain things you don't fucking do because they violate prohibition, these intrinsic spiritual beliefs that have been with the Chinese people for hundreds and hundreds of years. And she's like, it's just bad form. And so I would laugh at that, and kind of poke fun at her.
Oh wow. So how do they treat these women? Let's say they reach 30 or 35. They're not married, no kids. They have no. They're just single. What do the families do with them? How do they treat them?
Well, the families in general, like, because again, I've always be interacting with them on the level of like parents-in-law, so they'll, like, if we go over and we visit with, because my wife has about 3 or 4 friends, she in her college circle and high school circle of friends that she kept in contact with, um out of, I would say, out of approximately 10 girls, like half of them got married and half of them became leftover girls. And then of the 5, because we all got married around the same time, we're all about the same age, right? Um, of the 5 who got married, only 2 couples are still married, like us and one other couple. So that shows a greater than 50% divorce rate, which is fact here in Beijing. In the big cities, like, people just didn't stay married. They got divorced. They had kids and got divorced. So like all of divorced women, ooh, their lives are really hard. They're extremely ostracized. Like they're even worse off than the women who didn't get married at all. So if they got married and had a kid and then got divorced, like single mother, that kind of thing, they're like they're like an anchor, like a dirty shoe, like a single glove. They're like, I don't know. They're really in a very very bad situation. Not only like societally, but like spiritually as well, because of that negative blowback. They also go into like really heavy depression and this kind of thing, which puts their children at a distinct disadvantage as well. But then the leftover women, they're a little better off. Like they can still have relationships with divorced men, or they can kind of, you know, bide their time, but they become spinstresses really early. Like I've noticed that in their 40s they just started falling apart because they didn't have a baby. Their biological systems are breaking down. From what I've understood, like scientifically, the female body, if they don't live up to their biological purpose, then their body starts to kill them. It revolts because a woman's biological purpose is to give birth. So women that gave birth are physically and spiritually more happy, especially if they stay married. um so like again, out of those 10 examples, so this is this is experiential evidence, this is case studies. Out of those 10 case studies, like the 5 who didn't get married, they all kind of not very well liked by their families, a little bit ostracized and estranged by society. I would say one of them, who we call like our children's godmother, her name, we call her Cindy Gama. Her name is Cindy, her English name. And she's doing fairly well. I can tell she's not happy. She'll occasionally have dinner with us, and she's all right. She's like the only one that's been moderately successful. The other ones just fell apart. They lost their jobs. They became unattractive, a little bit estranged by societies, and so on and so forth. And then I said, like the divorced women, they fared even worse. But then, like, I've only got one other family that actually has made it as far as me and my wife, that has stayed married. Like we've been married 23, 24 years now, 23 years. And we've got 2 kids. My daughter's a senior this year and my son's going into high school. So like there's only one other family out of 10 groups, out of 10 sets of couples, 5 that got married and 5 that did not, that made it all the way through the long run. And I think that those of us that got married and had kids, we fared better in society just because we maintained a societal norm, I guess, in part. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Like I haven't sat down and analyzed it too deeply. But
I'm
basically,
surprised they
after
don't just. Well, I'm surprised they don't just outlaw divorce there. Why wouldn't they just outlaw it so that doesn't
it
even happen?
is to an extent, it is. And in fact, it was only recently that people were able, like I think in the modern era, like probably around 2005, maybe 2003, 2005. I got here in 2001, that people were more easily allowed to get divorces. You could show up at the court, like I could show up at the court and tell them I want to divorce my wife, and they would demand reasoning. You can't just do it.
Oh
And
wow!
that, yeah, it's only been recently, like with the advent of technology, like if you catch your partner cheating on you and you document it, um, if there's physical abuse towards the spouse or the children and you document it, then you can hire a lawyer and go through a legal proceeding to achieve a divorce. But yeah, it's not openly allowed. No, you can't just both walk in there and say you want to dissolve your marriage. It doesn't work that way. Because I've inquired and I've talked to I've sought legal assistance. And we had some troubles in our relationship, and I contemplated it at a couple of different points in our marriage. I thought, fuck, I just need to get out of it, get a divorce. And I went through the entire investigative process and found out that, yeah, it's not something you can just do like you can in a Western country.
Oh yeah, in the West, a woman can say she's just unhappy or unsatisfied. No cheating involved, and actually cheat on her husband. She could commit adultery, and she could file for a divorce and get rewarded with cash and prizes, even though she cheated. That's not even held against you with cheating. It doesn't get
Yeah,
held
that's
against you.
That's the thing here too. Like they would not reward the woman for getting a divorce. I don't think they're even entitled to half. I think there would be legalities over it, but basically the woman pretty much gets nothing. She can get custody of the children more more easily than the man can, but they have to prove financial stability as well. So whichever partner has the greater financial stability is the one that will be awarded the most because they're tangibly the greater provider to the situation. In fact, that's like in Beijing, the most like again flagship cities. In I can't even imagine in like second and third tier districts how it would go for them. It would not be good. Basically, they'd just be thrown out on their ass.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so a far different scenario. And some people might say that, it's not progressive over here. They're lagging far behind by, having these archaic systems. But in the West, it's so geared against the father or husband or man in the situation that it's almost like totally unviable for a man to even want to get married in a Western country. I got two brothers, and one of them got married and had kids and is divorced, like three times divorced or something. But then my other brother, the one closest to me in age, like he just opted to never get married and never have children. He said it was too much of a risk.
Yeah, that's the situation a lot of guys are in. I think it's California now that if you get married and divorced, a lot of men, or maybe all, are paying alimony for life, not just child support if they have
Right.
children, but it's it's really ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not just California too. I know California is supposedly the most progressive, but yeah, probably just about any state in the union, you're going to end up with like alimony for life and child support. It depends on how long the marriage like lasted. I think if it's over 7 years, then you have to pay like
So
lifetime alimony.
it's fucking ridiculous. If a wife cheats on you, breaks up your marriage, she could even file for divorce to leave you, cheat, then leave, take at least half your stuff, if not more, and then get alimony for life. You're paying somebody that you hate that cheated on you for the rest of
Yeah,
their
and
life.
full
It's just
custody of your
ridiculous.
kids.
Yeah, I mean, fuck,
Yeah,
child
and I think
support and then
in
alimony for life.
in California they could probably achieve all that in under a year. So yeah, it's really really bad in California. But and it's like I said, a lot of it's nationwide. Like I've talked to people and learned about experiences even in like the rural South where the man is just totally disenfranchised and hadn't even been married for more than a couple of years or something, and the fucking old lady just takes him to the cleaners. So yeah, it's really really a risk, a huge risk for men to get involved in that anymore, which
And
is a
then
bummer. It
American
shouldn't be
women are
that way.
marching, and they're marching in pink pussy hats, saying they're oppressed, that they lack rights, and women's rights are important. They have far more rights and privileges than American men. American men have to sign up for selective service, or they won't get the vote and a driver's license, and can be jailed and fined. Right as soon as they're 18, I think they have to sign up for that.
Yeah, it shows
Women
up on
don't
your
have to risk
birthday.
anything to vote.
I was so
They don't.
shocked and surprised. Like it literally showed up on my birthday, which means they were thinking about it weeks in advance when they sent out my selective service card. It literally showed up on the day of my birthday in the mailbox.
Yep, and there you go. And
And
that's
then
to keep your rights to
you're
vote.
under like a 2 week order to return it and like to report to an office and give all your bio data. Yeah, it was fucking very draconian or Orwellian.
Then they talk about male privilege. They say men are privileged. Well, where's the privilege? Where's the privilege? I don't see that as a privilege. I see one gender is far more privileged in the West and Canada and America. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
certainly. I don't remember either of those. I got two older sisters as well, and I don't remember any of those things happening to them. And at the same time, too, like the recruiters, they're knocking on your door and chasing you down once you've hit 18, trying to get you to sign up rather than college and offering you money for college. Oh yeah, you could go to college, but you're going to get into debt. Just join the military for 4 years, then you'll get it all for free. It's like, fuck. And in their contracts, like they say, join for 4 years, but you're actually enlisted for life. Once you've enlisted, you're always on reserve call, which means they can call you back anytime. And that's not a draft. That's just deploying reserves.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. You might not even make it the 4 years or make it out to get the free schooling. I mean, they try to get people that, well, they young men, they're not really out there recruiting young women for the most part. And the ones
Well,
that do join,
they weren't in the past. I think they're focused a little more on them now. But yeah, I don't know. Again,
well, they can't pass the physical. They have to keep lowering the standards that I've seen in videos.
right?
They can't even do the pull-ups and the push-ups, and they just can't do it.
Well,
And
they don't have to do push-ups anymore. They could just do knee-ups, like they do the female where they do it from their knees rather than their feet. Next thing you know, they're gonna have wheelchair races for them in order to pass the physical. you got 30 minutes to go a quarter mile in a wheelchair, and you're in.
And they should put a Big Mac on the ground where every time they go down, they get to bite the Big Mac. And these fat women that are trying to join, they're out of shape. There's no way that they could rescue anybody in a battlefield. I mean, they don't have the strength, they don't have the stamina. They're way out of shape, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and we saw it on full horror show display just recently, where that Secret Service agent couldn't even put her pistol back in the holster. She had no idea where the holster was. She had no idea what she was doing. She's looking around like a like a cat looking for a biscuit, and had no idea what was going on. So yeah, it's pretty.
Couldn't
sad.
even get her sunglasses on. She was so rattled. She was just couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything. They were just useless.
Yeah, that was
what a
sad.
joke that was. That if that was China, you want to talk about egg on the face. That was a whole dozen eggs omelet just thrown right in the face of America, saying, "Look at this." I mean, the incompetence personified. That was terrible. That was a bad look.
Yeah,
I'll be laughing at that every time I picture it. It's hilarious to me.
Yeah, I should watch a little local news, but I haven't. Like this whole summer, I haven't watched anything on television, really. Not much on the internet either. I've just been relaxing. But yeah, it would be funny to see their take on it and see what they thought of that, because they were big behind him during the 2020 drive. Because I know you don't really probably pay a lot of attention to it, but it goes in 4-year cycles, right? Like the Olympics. And so 2016 was a big shakeup for them. They thought, oh God, here's some guy that's actually gonna, give us a little bit of a challenge. And then so they put their running mate in. They called him Beijing Biden. He was fully in their pocket and like bought and paid for a politician. So 2020, when he went in, they were super stoked on that. And they're like, we've got a party member, at the helm of the U.S. system now. It's going to be great. And then it didn't necessarily go the way they thought it would either, though, because he's basically a traitor to his country and to the people that paid him off. But yeah, I would like to
Demon
see
Slayer. Maybe Demon Slayer has been paid off, but he's going to be a traitor to the ones giving him 100 G's.
Yeah, he openly admitted it, right?
Yeah, yep, he did.
That seems like big coin to pay some guy to vilify you. 100K. I don't know if I can.
It does seem like it. As I said, I don't think he could earn that in his lifetime on his own without doing something like that. If it's real, I'm not assuming it's real. He's probably just lying about it, trolling or trying to get me. Doesn't bother me if he's getting paid money to troll me or to whatever. It's failing. He's failing. It's not working. I'm still around, but yeah, it would be.
Somebody needs to question that investment. No, he seemed like a bit of a compulsive liar. It seemed like almost everything he said was a lie. So yeah. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to believe someone that like the truth shall not pass my lips type of dude.
Just imagine there's hundreds of people on YouTube that do believe that idiot. What low level they're functioning at. They need help spooning food into their mouths. I mean, they're just. Oh man.
Well, I don't deny either that I bought into it a little bit too. Like, once bitten, twice shy. I kind of did the research, watched a couple of his videos, and I thought, yeah, I don't know. Like each individual is a unique experience, and you can't kind of base like your interaction with people on like what has gone before or what other people are saying. Or you got to get in the thick of it yourself, and test the waters and see what's really going on. Because like my situation here, people would come over and they would have this, that, or the other experience, like the guys on motorcycles with their helmets riding around with a bucket of KFC and out there shopping for watermelons. They have a certain take on what they've experienced, but it's their unique experience. And so I try not to get too much mired in that. And like when people come over and they're like, oh, I've heard this, that, or the other thing about, in China and what's going on here. And I tell them, I say, hey, you got to test the waters for yourselves. You got to get in there and see what, see how the universe responds to you individually. You can't base it on hearsay. You can't base it on the past. You've got to calibrate, and realign and just roll with the punches. And I think that's a better way to go about it. I don't know. At the same time, you can't step into things totally naive either, like him sucking down those tubes of toothpaste and just wishing that someone would come over and change his diaper. It's like he's been banging that rattle, and sucking on his pacifier for hours, and nobody's fucking paying attention to him. He's sitting there with a butt plug in and a diaper full of shit, and he's wondering why nobody will save him from his situation.
Exactly. I mean, I view it the same way, in a similar way, where if somebody comes over to my channel and they're brand new and they say, Hell Realm, this isn't a Hell Realm, and I'll just say, well, you should look into my videos. It's not that I'm forcing them, but I have like
Right.
1,800 videos. So if they look into the videos and go, oh, now I get what you mean by your perspective. You're showing this, you're saying this, and you're kind of
Right.
showing a deeper view rather than just, it's like judging the book by its title. There's books
Right.
sometimes with a stupid title. The publisher might name it something when the author wants it something else. And then you open the book and go, wait a second, this is really cool. This is a really fantastic story. Or it might be a book that isn't a novel, a book that's nonfiction, and they're describing, it might be a book of magic or something where you look at it at first and go, yeah, I don't really like the cover, but you might pick it up and look into it and go, wait a second, there's some real fucking cool stuff or something really interesting about this, and you end up reading the whole thing. So
Yeah,
I kind of look at it that
some meat
way,
on the bones. And at the same time, too, maybe sometimes people are exposed to that for the first time, like I was, for example. And in a deeper sense, they just don't want to believe it. They don't want to see it that way. And like, if you'd been here in Beijing for the last 2 decades, it'd be like, oh my God, this guy's describing this place in surreal, visual horror show. And some people just don't want to awaken to the nastiness of the thing itself. And
Yeah.
I may have experienced some of that to some extent. And at the same time, I want to think that maybe that's a fact, and maybe it's an objective fact that I need to face. But at the same time, I want to try to work to shift things. And maybe, like you say, there is no working to shift any of it because that's the way it's meant to be.
Well, I'd work to get to a higher realm, right? Like, yeah, it is a tough pill to swallow. But let's say hypothetically, just, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say it is, just for as a thought experiment, that this is the lowest level out of 100 levels in this matrix. Wouldn't you naturally want to go at least climb up, if not get out of the matrix? That's how I look at it. I look at it as, if I'm in hell, or a hell, quote, hell realm, I want to get out of here. I don't want to keep doing this and keep reincarnating. There's people that as soon as they hear reincarnation, they get all up in arms. And, Christians do. A lot of Christians do. And a lot of Muslims do. It's not just Christians. There's people of other religions, or even atheists. They'll say, there's no reincarnation. But there's actual fucking studies at universities going on for decades on reincarnation. University of Virginia has been doing work for decades. They've been studying reincarnation stories and matching up and seeing if these people have, let's say, past life memories and memories of there's certain and there's certain places where it's not discouraged, where it's more out in the open, like in India, let's say. There's a lot of stories of children that come forward and say, hey, I had a past life, I had a wife, here was her name, and they're a little boy saying this, saying, I was married, and they're telling all about their wife.
Sure.
And then they find out where they live, and it's a real person, and they meet the woman, And the woman's like, they couldn't possibly know these secrets. Only my husband that passed away knew all of these intimate details of our marriage,
Well,
secrets, things that they exchanged. And they're
like,
like, yeah, the woman's like, that's my husband. It might be a
and
7-year-old boy, but that's
sure.
him.
And like I said, sometimes too, people don't want to be woken up to it, because it can be extremely frightening when you have to face a supernatural reality that's beyond your control. Like the Chinese make no bones about it in their ancient culture. They say that when most people pass, they immediately wake up to the fact that they're in hell, and like there's demon lords and the king of hell lording over you, and like the living Chinese descendants of those people will burn like tons of this what they call spirit money, which is like faux. You can look it up on Google if you want right now. They're called hell banknotes, and they have the face of the demon lord, like the king of hell, on them. And what they do is like what they believed for hundreds and hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, is that we are in this hell realm. And when someone passes away, that they will become like like you said, we're on the lowest level. No way, man. They'll drop like 18 levels even lower into these deep, dank reaches of the hell realm if they don't pay off the fucking demon king. And so they'll do like a year of mourning and wearing nothing but white and burning these what they call hell banknotes. Let's see if you pulled it up or not. And yeah, and just doing tons of obsequies. There it is, the red one that says Chinese hell note right there. And that's the face of the demon king. And they have paintings and literature, and they literally bought whole hog into this kind of thing. And if you get involved with like the spiritual ones that are awakened, like what they call the wandering sages and stuff, they can like hit you on the back on a certain point, and like you see the shadows fall like in the middle of day, and you can see that you're surrounded by ghosts and demons, and it ain't any kind of fun that most people want to experience. So when you start poking at them a little bit and waking them up to these super sensual realities, it's like, fuck, that's nothing they want to hear. Here they
Hell
thought
money. I
they were.
never knew of this. I never knew of this till tonight. I never saw this. Holy shit, this is mind blowing. They're burning the fucking hell money right here. What the
to appease the fucking demon king, because he's lording it over you right now. Like I'm telling you, they can give you certain teas and stuff, or like help.
That looks like Queen Elizabeth on there.
They probably have one. They're probably making them with Trump's face now too. They'll do anything to appease the demon king so that they're recently deceased don't get
that
tortured.
Looks like a younger Queen Elizabeth right there with the crown on. Holy shit!
Yeah,
the Bank of Ming Mai.
They say you'll maintain a corporeal form, and you'll wake up in this demonic realm of hell, and they'll literally pull out your teeth and grind it into biscuits to feed other demons and shit. They've got entire fucking tons of legends surrounding this stuff.
Man, this is crazy.
Right.
Wow.
Right?
I had no idea.
This is the daily practice for Chinese folks. Like I could right. Oh my God. And tonight is the new moon too. They always do it on the new moon and the full moon. I could go down in my courtyard and to the crossroads, to the intersections this evening, and you'll see them out in droves burning these notes in the street. They make a little circle of chalk with one opening facing in the direction of where the spirit was like passed into, and they'll just burn these things and do like the mourning and stuff like that. It's it's a religious practice.
I got to get into this. I'm going to burn some. I'm going to get some and burn some of my own. These hell realm, hell currency, hell banknotes, or hell money. This is fucking nuts.
In Taiwan, they take it way further too. Like in mainland China, they'll just burn the money. But like in southern regions and even southern China and Taiwan, they'll burn all kinds of other shit. They'll burn like paper televisions and paper cars and paper sweaters and all kinds of shit to protect the ghosts.
Sweaters, paper cars.
Yeah,
really. Man, Marilyn Monroe and James Dean, hell money. They have like Hollywood people on the fucking notes. They're burning. Wow.
In mainland, you'll just tell the Demon King there for the most part. That's all you can find because they have stores that sell incense and they sell all this shit. But especially around the hospitals, at all of the hospitals, there's all kinds of little shops that sell this type of material, urns and afterlife clothing and hell banknotes. There's probably a huge sack of them in my car right now because my wife's father, my father-in-law, passed away last year, and so she's still burning this stuff. She'll be burning it tonight.
Oh wow, and she's an atheist. She'll still burn them. She'll
Well, she
burn
was
these
raised an
hell notes.
atheist, like I said, but you can't take this type of spiritual tradition out of the Chinese people. It's just it's
You
something
can't
you
take the
cannot.
hell money away.
No way.
you gotta
You,
you gotta keep
don't
burning.
fuck.
I like that though. That's awesome. This is cool. The hell money. I gotta get some of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Don't
I gotta
fuck with
get
the
some of
money.
that and
I'm
burn some.
paying homage to the Demon King.
Maybe I'll
Yeah,
make
and
some with YouTuber faces on the banknotes on the hell money.
yeah, do it.
I'll
Oh,
burn
that's
some
yeah.
with some.
That's wicked. The Chinese would not approve. But so my postgraduate research was done at Tsinghua University, and if like some of the stuff that I was exposed to, like the watercolor paintings, like some of it from the Tang Dynasty, and like the Tang and Ming is when this stuff was really popular. But like if you've been exposed to some of this, and like when I hear you talking about the hell realm and stuff, like the imagery is so like visceral and powerful, and it's like, well, not everybody wants to know that or needs to know that. In fact, like in the Chinese shamanistic tradition, they would believe that like only the priest class or the shamans would be exposed to this type of information. They wouldn't want everybody waking up from the matrix and escaping. But yeah, it's a deeply ingrained tradition. So yeah, kind of fun stuff. Like I said, it's a part of the culture. You can't gaslight out of them.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it'll ever go away. It's ingrained from thousands of years. So that's really cool, though. I think I had seen something maybe when I was younger about them burning money, but I didn't understand it or I didn't get enough information about it. I might have seen it on television as a kid or something like that. I think I have seen some footage, but I didn't understand it was hell money and that and all that goes into it. I mean, that's fucking fascinating what they're
And the
doing.
fact that it's written in English too. Like when you get the hell notes, it says it right there in English. And it's one of the reasons is because these days they do hold the English language and this ability to communicate beyond Chinese. And in fact, they had actually even contemplated making English the national language of China at one time, just so they could be more internationally competitive. And so they made their whole system of romanization. The first one was based on a British system that originated in Hong Kong, right, and the British influence there. But the secondary system, the one that arose with New China and the People's Republic of China, was based on American scholars and American scholarship. So it's actually much easier to learn Chinese based on the system of romanization that America helped China to develop rather than the British one. I find the British one more arbitrary. It's called the Wade-Giles system, whereas the romanization system, it uses the American alphabet, or the English language alphabet, but it's called the Pinyin system. So it makes it much easier to learn Chinese. And the fact that they simplified the language. And again, these traditions, don't get me wrong, they're much more simplified here in mainland. Like in mainland China, they're pretty much just going to burn that money. But if you go to other like Southern Asian countries or to Taiwan, where they maintain some of the more ancient traditional culture, then they're going to be burning all kinds of shit. Not only that, they have like Holy Ghost rituals, like where the priest will let himself be um, uh, demonic possession, basically, and then do a performance like and trans mediumship and this type of thing. So it's
Oh
much more,
wow.
yeah, it's way more involved.
Damn. The possession part.
Yeah,
Well,
that's pretty
what do
gnarly.
they have against James Dean and Marilyn Monroe though? When I saw those on notes, I was like, what the
No, no,
hell?
no. By burning those like that, those are like the highest iconic levels of Western expression. So like Marilyn Monroe, burning Marilyn Monroe notes would be like you would be evoking her spirit as like the greatest form of feminine beauty from the Western world. And then James Dean would be like a great form of Western masculinity. So no, that would be a good thing. By burning those images, you're transferring that good, positive, iconic, epitomized energy into the ghost realm to help your ancestor.
Oh, okay. That's helping your ancestor. It's not anything against those,
No, no,
let's
no,
say,
no, no,
idols, dead
absolutely not.
deceased
Like,
idols.
like,
It's just
like I said, they've been printing ones with Trump face on him. In fact, I went in there, I don't know, maybe during Trump's presidency, but there was like golden ones made in U.S. dollars that had Trump's head on there and said the same thing. The hell banknotes, and I was like, oh my god, I should have taken a picture of them. I don't think I did. I might have. I don't know. You could probably look it up. Trump hell banknotes probably pop up. Anyway, fun stuff. Um, Yeah, man. So good conversation this evening. Really a lot of fun, King Stephen. Give a little shout out to the Sanity Machine, doing good work over there. Your Esoterica series is helping to bring light to the dark situation many of us find ourselves in, and possibly showing a way out too. Right?
yes. And I will be burning some hell money soon. I'm gonna order some. I'm gonna get some hell money, some hell notes, and maybe I'll do it on video sometime. Maybe I'll make a video burning some fucking hell money.
Yeah, and probably do like a cursory search. You could probably find lots of video about it. I know, like the motorcycle guys with the chicken leg and watermelon. They definitely probably did a video on it. I'm not sure, but it's something that, again, like, they do it on the new moon and the full moon. Those are the apex times to do it. And so tonight's the new moon. They'll be doing it tonight. Maybe I'll go out and shoot a little video. I could shoot it your way and kind of give you some insight there. Do you have
Yeah,
an
that would
email
be
where you could,
cool.
like, our Gmail or something that you can send videos to?
Yep, Stephen Killeen, Stephen with a PH, and Killeen is KILLEEN at gmail.com.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I might slide out there tonight and do a little covert shooting. Again, I like to be kind of low key about these kind of things because um, it's better to be a little bit low key. But yeah, good long conversation, man. I need to roll into the abodes of the future. I got some stuff to do around the house. It's Sunday here for me. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, man. Have a wonderful evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are and whenever you are. Thanks for stopping by to say hello, Monsieur Steven.
It's almost
What do you
4:30 a.m. here. It's early morning, so yeah, it's been
is it?
awesome chatting with you. Yep, it's been a good. Well, I consider it night still because it's still dark, and that's what I usually go by. Morning for me is when
Right.
it gets light out. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great chat. So thanks for having me on. I'll probably get some rest or maybe make a video and then fall asleep. But yeah, it was a good chat.
Yeah, and I'll check out some of your vids. I've been watching the Esoterica series, like I told you in the past. I think it's good fun. So anybody out there in Happy Land that may or may not have checked it out, definitely go over there and have a look. It might resonate with you. It might not. It might scare the fucking shit out of you, like it does for
Hopefully.
some. Yeah.
Hopefully it does. No, I'm just joking. I'm not trying to scare people by making the videos, but I'm just saying what I
Right.
see. This is the way I see it. It's not about
Right.
scaring them.
Yeah.
If I see a shark in the water, I'm going to say, "Hey, man, there's a shark there." I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie and say it's a
And,
goldfish. That's the way
and
I
if
do
folks,
things.
yeah, and if folks get anxious a little bit, that says something about, well, maybe they might be hiding in themselves too. So that can be a
Yeah,
good thing. Step through the waterfall of fear. Don't be like the demon slayer who just hides there in a dirty diaper, unwilling
yeah.
to let
Or in
anybody
terms
come
of
in and
kung
help.
fu, be brave, grasshoppers. Be brave and face face
That's
uh
right. That's
face
right.
whatever is ahead of you, whatever enemies. I
Indeed.
like the idea of burning the hell money, though. I really do like that. I'm gonna look into that for sure. But
Yeah, good
thanks for
stuff.
having me on, Frank. It's been really fun. I hope you have a good day and have a good week.
Yeah, thanks for that, man. And same to you. And thank you for stopping by. I will see you in the abodes of the future. That was King Stephen, everyone, with the Sanity Machine. We had a good long chat here on the Frank Monday channel. Good to see you, amigo. I hope you're doing well. And like and subscribe, everyone. All that happy horse shit that keeps YouTube's algorithms barking like Pavlov's dog. Until next time, be well.